All right, guys. I busted in on my own intro. I can't wait for any longer. The show gets started just a few minutes late. Nobody needs to wait for no 2 minute fucking countdown time or anything like that. Welcome to the Smoking Studios for yet another live episode of the Rocky Mountain Cigar Show. So grateful to have everybody back on and watching the show tonight. This has been an episode that honestly, I can't believe I even booked. I mean, for a little show like mine to be able to say I had somebody that was on the Rogan show, but better yet, forget about anybody on the Rogan show. It's an ex-FBI agent that infiltrated not just the Outlaws, but several other white supremacists as well as KKK groups. We're going to talk about all of it tonight. He's also a fellow cigar guy, and we're just going to have a drink and kind of shoot the shit with him. He's got incredible stories. If you guys did not get an opportunity to listen to the Joe Rogan episode, this is going to be a little bit different episode. We're going to touch on a few other things, but I'm telling you, go back and listen to his stories on the Rogan show. It's absolutely fantastic. But before you guys do any of that, jump over to Amazon and buy his book. You can get the audio version of it. He actually records his own voice within the audio book, which is, in my opinion, the best because he's going to be able to give all the inflections and the feeling and the bring you right there that it should be versus some random person reading it. So, this is a huge, huge honor for me. I'm going to stop flabbing my mouth right now because I'm not going to lie. I'm a little nervous. I have a past, no, nothing legal, but I don't know what he knows or maybe dossier about me. I don't know what he knows about me or the show, but I tell you what, if there's anybody that's going to figure out any way to get anybody, it's him. So Scott Payne, brother, how you doing?
I'm doing good, and I'm retired, so you don't have anything to worry about, really.
No, don't totally, man. I can't. It's just such an honor for me to be able to have somebody like you on the show. 25, 28 years within the FBI. Not only that, but you've changed how undercover work is done within the FBI because you and a few other really top guys have infiltrated a few of these biker gangs. And each time I feel like new stuff is being set, new ideas, new observations around the whole undercover thing. So before we jump into the show here, introduce yourself to everybody. Tell everybody a little bit about your book, and then we're gonna go ahead and dive in here.
Sure. Scott Payne, 28 years law enforcement. I did 5 years at the sheriff's office in Greenville, South Carolina. Uniform patrol for 3 of those, and then I was a vice narcotics investigator, which is kind of what gave me my bug. I got bit by the undercover bug, and I never let it go. And then I got hired by the FBI and did 23 years in the FBI. I retired in 21, and I was blessed to have a Rolling Stones article done that kind of catapulted a lot of things. And then I got the book. A side note is I never even wanted to do the Rolling Stones article. I definitely didn't want to do a book, but the friends I was working with at the time suggested it was the way to go. And once I did finally talk to some literary agents, it was an easy sell to me because the people that I chose had actually done other former undercover FBI agents. And as soon as they said they did that, I said, which one? And they were like, well, it was the art theft guy. And I go, Bob? And they're like, yeah. And I said, do you have his number? They said, yes. I said, call Bob, tell him to call me, tell him his country. And after about 2 hour conversation, I was like, I'm going to do it. So the book is essentially an autobiography, but I got to tell you, if I read a book that says it's undercover and it takes you to chapter 10 to start talking about undercover, I don't like it. If I read a book that says it's undercover and you talk about cases that you ran when you're a case agent, I don't really like it. We do briefly mention in mine when I was a case agent on the Aryan Nation in Tennessee, but that's because it kind of catapults into the domestic terrorism stuff. But chapter 1 is a short synopsis of me growing up and some things I thought might have been my first undercovers. Chapter 2 is the vice narcotics investigator. 3 and on is all FBI undercovers. And it covers my faith from the beginning to the end. It covers my family, but I try to be very transparent and vulnerable and tell the truth. And if I was scared and things went bad, I tell it. If my marriage almost ended, I tell it. If a 911 hang up happened and the cops showed up in my house, I tell it. So here
Well,
I am.
you know what was interesting to me, and that faith is so strong within you,
Mhm.
and boy, I gotta think there was probably a lot twisted inside of you during the time with the outlaws and all the undercover work, as far as like, is this overstepping, is this overstepping, is this pushing the boundary of my own faith? And you actually brought it up on the Rogan show, and I wanted you to tell everybody this show, or this story that you told on Rogan. But before we do have to kind of tell everybody what we are smoking tonight. So I tell you
Sure.
what, Scott, thank you so much, Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, Steve Saka, for the "What Are You Smoking Tonight" segment. Scott, what are you smoking tonight?
I had to put on my bifocals. A great thing of aging. You have from 20/20 vision to I can't see crap. Liga Privada number 9. It's the first time I've tried it. The local cigar shop here, Blue Smoke, told me, hey, give it a shot, and here I am. I like it.
That's a very good cigar, and in fact, that cigar helped kick off the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust when, as Steve Saka is responsible for creating the legal line, who's also owns the Dunbarton. I am smoking the Bewitched by Dunbarton as well, the Moisture de Saka Bewitched, which is a, let's see. No, I'm not doing this from memory, everybody, and back off of me because there's just way too many cigar blends to remember from memory. It's an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper with a Mexican binder and Nicaraguan filler, 6x58, and it is a 48 ring gauge box press. I absolutely love this cigar. Okay, now that that's out of the way, thank you so much, Steve Saka, for sponsoring the "What Are You Smoking Tonight" segment of the show. Let's go ahead and jive back in because I just want to hear. So tell the story, because I think this is going to set up the faith aspect that I kind of want to take with you a little bit around the WWSD.
Oh, sure. Um, I'm glad you gave me the lead in because I've done so many daggum interviews. I'm like, I don't know. I don't even remember what I said. But so I was undercover for 2 years with the Outlaws. And for the listeners that don't know, it's not all cakes and pies in the undercover world. A lot of the movies are somewhat far fetched, like hot. Like, let's just take The Departed. You've got a very beautiful psychologist you're having sex with while you're taking 30 lorazepams. That doesn't happen.
It seems about right.
I mean, I'm like, if you took 30 lorazepams and you turned the bottle up like that, I'm probably in the corner drooling for the next 2 days. But um, essentially, the definition of being undercover is you are forming relationships that you're going to betray, and that sucks on the surface if you look at it that way, especially if you bond with these people. Now, quick undercovers, yeah, street level, I'm making 2, 3 buys. We hit it with a search warrant, or I show up to buy and everybody jumps out. It's not the same. Deep cover, man, I'm only human, you know. I've put on the trainings. I've been trained. I've been blessed in that realm. But the in the outlaw case, man, I formed some really, really close relationships, especially one in particular, which I talk about in the book, and that's the Big Scott guy. And this is how this leads into this. Uh, After all that time undercover, we probably, I don't know if we're at a year and a half mark or whatever, but things to know are he had a young daughter that was somewhere around a year old. And so did I, roughly the same, I mean, same age. I can't remember how far apart their birthdays are, but if his youngest daughter's 20, or his that daughter at that time is 20, then my daughter's 20, kind of thing. But at that time they were infants, and if you've had kids, you kind of know that that first year of development, it's generally the same movements, the same noises, because they're finding their voice and this, that, and the other. I say that just so you understand. I'm not at home. I'm in my buddy's house who does not know I'm an undercover FBI agent, and I'm rocking his daughter, or I'm bouncing his daughter on my knee, and I'm not bouncing mine. And you have been with this person for over a year now. It is insanely scary or just weird how similar we were. We're like kindred spirits. Um, I finished his sentences. He finished mine. He liked to fight and drink. I'm not saying I didn't like that either. He liked to work out. I like to work out. He liked to ride. I like to ride. So it's that kind of typical thing you see in a TV show or whatever that you're like, oh man, I'm really getting close to this guy. I'm not going to say that I was anywhere close to going dark and saying, look, I'm not
Sure.
going to be an FBI agent. I'm going to become this and whatever else. But I did have that close relationship with a guy. And I would like to think I still do today. Um, even though if I am your friend and I put you in prison, I'm probably not that great of a friend.
Well, you
I'm
did
like,
it for a loving reason, like you tried to
yeah.
help him.
PSS. I'm sorry about that whole prison thing. I love you. You know, my wife's like, "What if you meet this person and they walk up and they punch you in the mouth and they go, now we're even?" I told her, "I'm okay with that. That's fair." you know,
Yeah.
but I'm wrestling with these things and I'm bouncing his daughter on my knee and I'm in the kitchen at his house and I'm thinking to myself, man, again, not thinking about like leaving the FBI and Breaking Bad, but it's just like I really identify with this guy. We have so much
Mhm.
in common, and I know I'll probably get some heat from some undercovers or law enforcement officers, but I generally liked him. I loved him. You know, I try not to dehumanize. You mentioned earlier just kind of making a joke, but I've committed all kinds of crimes. I just never was arrested and convicted. Had I been, I wouldn't have ever been able to be I might have been able to get through cop, but I definitely wouldn't have been an FBI agent. So I'm in there and I'm wrestling with all this in my head. Picture it being more than a year, and you're finding situations where the FBI is not treating you good at all, but these outlaws and the guys you're befriending are treating you way better. And
Mhm.
I'm finding these common threads and realizing that could have been me so easily at that
Mhm.
proverbial fork in the road, man. I could have, hell, I still could be, maybe. I don't
Sure.
know.
I don't think at this point in time that's a
Yeah, I
concern.
mean, I'm like, we can still hang out.
Did he
I don't want to be caught in a conspiracy or anything and get locked up, but I could definitely hang out with you and love you. But I was in there and I'm wrestling with these thoughts in my head, and I'm like, man, I really love this guy, and I'm going through it, and I look over at the refrigerator in his kitchen, and there's all kinds of stickers and magnets and stuff. And there was one that said WWSD. And in the Christian faith, which I'm a Christ follower, I'm trying to preach to anybody. This is maybe not the platform for it, but I
Oh,
will if you let me.
yeah, yo, honestly, the real quick, the cigar community is very religious,
Yeah.
very
Look, what
religious.
I tell you, the other cigar I had to choose from is called it's Tabernacle. It's the
Mhm.
Goliath,
That foundation,
and
yeah.
my pastor turned me on to that. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was a line. But I'm sitting there and I look at that, I see WWSD. In the Christian faith, WWJD is everywhere. It's on bracelets. It's what would Jesus do? And I see WWSD and I'm like, what is that? And either written under it or me asking him, it's what would Satan do? And when I saw that, it was like a smack in the face. I'm like, all right. I'm Scott Payne, the FBI agent. I'm undercover. But that didn't make me hate him. I still, like I said, it was a tough time. Um, but you do have a job to do, and that was the job I was doing. And there's been many undercovers I've gone on, or I know of, or I ran, and other undercovers go in where you're in there for 5 months, and and you find out, look, I'm finally in. Everybody trusts me. They're telling me everything. They're not doing nothing illegal, or they're not doing anything illegal on a federal level. And we pull chocks, we back out, or maybe the
Oh,
case team does whatever they want. But as an undercover, I'm out.
wait a second, wait a second. So you mean to tell me the FBI will infiltrate something, determine that there's nothing wrong with it, and then back itself out, and then you guys kind of go bye bye? I didn't think the FBI would expend that kind of um, bandwidth without like having that understanding that there was something wrong.
Well, you got to for the ones that don't know, it's not that you're getting, you can't just open a case willy-nilly in the FBI
Sure,
especially.
sure.
So you are getting the predication, you're getting the reporting, you're getting complaints, you're getting sources of information that are telling you it might be these guys are killing people or these guys are doing this and they've got this. So you have enough to open a case, to start an investigation, and you're being proactive. You're trying to go in there and do things instead of sit back and wait for it to happen and then go, let's respond. We're trying to stop bad things from happening before they happen. But yeah, I mean, you get in there. I mean, I've done malicious stuff. I was in there for 5 months. I've even went shooting with them. They were just pro gun and pro Second Amendment and pro God.
So
That's not illegal.
so when something like that happens and you have to back out of something like that, do you stop showing up, delete your phone, throw it away, or do you like make up like a oh my mom's I gotta move, my mom's passed away or something like how do you even back yourself out? Because some of those militias might not be crazy until something like that happens, and they're like, "See, I told you," you know.
Or the militia might be like, "Hey, that dude's FBI. You think he could come back and hang out with us?" And
Well,
I
true, for
so
sure.
some of the groups I infiltrated, I mean, I told the case teams involved, I'm like, I'm not trying to say I would, and I'm not hating on law enforcement. I'm telling you, if the Boogaloo happened, D-Day happened, I'm probably going to go hang out with those guys. I could literally, some of the groups, I could be like, hey, look, I wasn't completely honest in the beginning because I didn't know if I could trust you. I just want you to know I'm a retired FBI agent, but I was also a firearms instructor, a SWAT operator, and a tactics instructor. I guarantee you, so I know without a shadow of a doubt, some of those groups would have been like, oh, that's cool, man. Can you run the training tomorrow? Yeah. Okay. Um,
But how do you back out of
it's
something
a
like
case,
that?
it's a case by case basis. It's really up to the case team because when I'm the undercover, I'm not the case agent. They're running it from their division and their team, and that's the role you have to play. They may decide just ghost them, just go. They may decide say you got locked up, or I'm going to lay low now for a while because I've got heat on me, kind of whatever. Or they may want you to be there when they go to approach the person. Me as a case agent, a lot of times when those things happen, I may want to approach you. I'll kind of keep it to the side. I don't want everybody to see it, but maybe we do a car stop and I come up. I don't know how you want to do it. There's all kinds of things you can do, but not to let everybody in the world know that the FBI came to your house. So we talk, and then I'm not, as a case agent. In my experience, what I've done is I'm like, look, I've been following you for a year and a half. I've had a case on you, and I know you did this, and that was a minor, that was a misdemeanor, that was a misdemeanor. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because I don't think you've done anything federal, but I do know that you're well connected. And maybe we can start a relationship, or maybe you want to tell me to pound sand. But what I really want is if you ever come across something bad where people are literally planning on hurting innocent people. We're not talking the end of times where you now there's no rules and this purge meets whatever. I'm talking about like right now, you find out somebody's going to be hurt, man, give me a call. And that's how it always started with me. And it always worked for me. In my career, I've seen people walk away. I'm talking about people who have hated law enforcement their entire life, and they have a good reason to. They grew up in an environment where they did not have a good picture of law enforcement, or maybe a bad law enforcement officer showed up, or maybe a good one showed up and acted bad, you know. But they walk away from those conversations, and it's like, man, for a cop, you're not that bad, or I didn't know there was law enforcement officers like you, or whatever. So, yeah, that's a lot of what I got.
One of the things that I've noticed in watching a few interviews with you is you always hear about the cop or the FBI, the ego. Sit down because I told you. You don't seem like you're that type of person. It's and just in how like listening to you tell your stories on Rogan and a few other podcasts, you definitely take kind of a much more of a calmer approach because you are a big guy. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You are a big guy. So, what kind of determines your approach and style, or is it something you can just like flip a switch with and change it? Does that make sense? Oh, Scott froze. Okay, let's let him come right back in. Hold on. See if he can jump right back in. All right. Till he does, we'll just go ahead and hang on. Okay, so real quick, just some show update stuff. For those of you that are winning prizes, the shirts got pushed back. They should be here, I'm hoping, by the end of next week. So all your stuff that you have coming from me for the 40th birthday will be for next week, and I will be shipping it out then. The stuff for Cigar Clowns, that's going to be shipped out on their time. Now, I do understand that there was supposed to be a drawing for the video. Life happens. Joe got absolutely consumed by time. So that drawing will, yes, Sky, hold on one sec. That drawing will happen, absolutely. Just wanted to give everybody a little update. I was just too excited at the start of the show to kind of jump in because we started a little bit late. So there you go. But okay, so Scott, I wanted to ask you, in listening to you talk and your approach and kind of just the way you carry yourself and your stories, I feel like you're not the stereotypical ego driven, sit down, shut up because I said so type FBI agent. That you're definitely a big guy. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You know, you definitely could be intimidating, like you say on the Rogan show. These are your people. You're all tatted up, and you fit the role. You had mentioned how you didn't get a whole lot of Wall Street jobs because you didn't fit in there. So you're definitely fit that profile. How did you set your approach, and does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
how do you kind of control yourself in that activity?
Well, it's just my MO. I mean, everybody has their own shtick. You do what works for you, but I'll give you an example. There was a gang in the Rio Grande Valley called the Tri-City Bombers, and they did a massacre. They called it whatever town it was in, La Jolla Massacre, whatever it was. But the problem with the massacre, as if a massacre is not bad enough, they went to the wrong house and they murdered a bunch of women, and it was the wrong house. So all this is growing. This Tri-City Bomber Group, TCB. I mean, it's violent. And then somewhere in there, we find out about a hit or a threat against an FBI agent, a female FBI agent. And because of, I don't know, stature, whatever, I do not want this to sound like any kind of chest beating, any kind of like, look at me kind of thing, because that is not it. I'm trying to come from a humble place here, but I get a call because the local law enforcement or whatever state, they arrest one of the leaders of the group, and they've got him, and they've been interrogating him all day about the murders. But I get a call from FBI at about midnight on a Saturday night saying, Scott, we need you to come in. And me and my buddy AB, they call us in. They like, and I go in there and I'm being told by the leaders of the office, the brass, they're like, we want you to go put the fear of God in this person. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, you got it. You got it. That's not how it works. If you've already had your 3 strikes and you're already out when we show up, there's those that happen. But generally, I come in. I'm going to try to treat you with respect. Sometimes people don't deserve respect or they've already lost that. But for instance, they called me, they're like, you go in there. So we went in. This dude's freezing. He's hungry. He's been screamed at and yelled at all day. Yeah, he's killed people, probably. I don't know. It's not convicted yet. But that's not why I'm there. And I go in and we're like, hey, man, are you cold? Go get this guy a jacket. Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? Let's do this. And you sit down and I start talking to him. I'm like, I'm not here about the massacre and all that stuff. I said, I'm here for one reason and one reason only. We have good information that there is a hit or it has been threatened to take out this female agent. And that's what I'm here to get to the bottom of. And you start building that rapport. And I'm treating him with respect. And before you know it, he's like, look, it was a bonfire party. Yeah, we had the card. We said some shit. I said some shit. But I've said, is anybody going to be carrying this out? Is it an order or is it? He goes, it's not going to. And we documented everything. But that's kind of the way I work. I show up and again, he'd been browbeat all day. It didn't work. He's been cussed at all day. He's probably been physically manhandled all day. Let me tell you something. That was a local gang, but who knows if he's been across the border on the other side. You deal with people who are from Michoacan, or I should rephrase it. Not everybody from Michoacan's bad, clearly. But if you're dealing from somebody from Michoacan and they have been in the game a long time and they're already missing two fingers and they call you El Ocho because you only have eight fingers, do you think me yelling at you is going to get you to confess? I mean, you've got your fingers cut off. I can't threaten you with chopping two more fingers off or
It's
three
true.
more and make you El Cinco. I can't do that. I don't, it's just, that's not how it works for me. And I always try, again, it goes back to really the theme of the book and the theme of what I'm learning more about myself and spreading knowledge. And I continue to learn and go speak with people. It's really about connecting. For me, it always has been. Yes, it was part of my job, but I just love connecting with people. I don't care if you're tall, short, fat, skinny, smart, stupid, evil, crazy. I like it all. I love it all, actually.
So, do you think your approach? So again, I love the fact that that you are such a very Christian driven man in that sense of, because it's so interesting. My gosh, what would your have you ever thought about what my pastor would say if he saw me undercover? Like like have you ever do you ever think like when you meet your creator at the pearly gates, he's gonna go, dude, you had him real fooled, like pounded over there. Like have you ever taken a time to kind of, inventory that.
I picture me showing up to the pearly gates in your scenario and the gatekeeper going, "You're welcome."
Oh, of
That's what I
course.
picture.
Of
That's what I
course.
picture. And I'm going to be like, "Thank you. I just need a D minus. I don't need to have an A plus. I just got to make it in the gate. I don't need pearly. I just give me a dog house right inside the gate. I'll sleep on the grass. I'm good to go." Yeah. So my pastors in the last, I don't know, 10 plus years, no, they are my main pastor, actually my neighbor. uh, he is this guy. He just passed the torch down. Because he's getting older and they want to keep the church thriving. But oddly enough, and it wasn't a choice thing. His son took over. But his son battled against at least three other people, and he put the work in. And now that's my main pastor, who's also my neighbor. But the father, who was my pastor, this dude was a drug dealer. He was a drug addict. He was molested. He's done. He has been. He is somebody you would look at and go, "How? There's no
Okay.
way." So
Okay.
he's a worldly man. So I can talk to him about worldly stuff.
Sure, sure.
And you got to remember, if you're looking at Christ following faith, I'm not talking legalism. I'm not talking religion per se. The word religion and the act of religion has been the death to a lot of churches. They're dying on the vine. It's about a relationship with your maker and the Trinity, his son, the Holy Spirit. And if you can sit down and talk to him and say, look, this is what I did. This is what I had to do. They're completely okay with that because they know that, or at least what they've told me and they've helped me understand is I'm doing the Lord's work, not me per se, but it's a calling and we're trying to do good things. So yeah, I mean, I will say this on a side note that's kind of funny. Um, it's a big church and I'm a musician and a singer and I play there. And there were so many people at that church that already knew about the book coming out and they started ordering it, but it hadn't come in yet. So I go to do the audio book. And at the studio where I'm doing the audio book are musicians that I used to play with at another church. They own the studio. And as I'm reading the book, I start going, "Oh man, I forgot about all this." I'm like, there's very graphic, shock and awe stuff in this book. So the next weekend when I was playing and I'm going out and mingling with 3, 4 services of hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people, I'm like, "Hey, so disclaimer, when you get the book, there's some pretty shocking, weird stuff in there. I'd like you to think more Old Testament, but I want you to know it really happened.
Pre-died for the sins.
Yeah, I'm like, woo. I'm like, as I'm reading, I'm going, and that's when I'm stopping. So I got one guy listening from New York, from Simon and Schuster. I got another guy on the other side of the wall recording it, and I'm in mid sentence, and I go, "Oh man, I forgot this was in the," because I lived it, and I didn't really. I don't have the filter on when I'm not at church sometimes, you know. But yeah, I mean, if you look at the story of Jesus, here's the thing: he didn't hang out with the clean cut, highfalutin people. He hung out with us. I'm like,
It's
I'm a piece
true.
of trash. I'm broken. If anybody, if you go to a church, Christ follower, and it's hellfire and brimstone, and you shouldn't do this, and I'm up here and I'm a holy, there's no way. We're all broken. There's no way. There's nobody perfect unless you are at that higher power. And my belief system, we're not there. We're not going to be that. We're saved by the blood of Jesus and the grace of God.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the things that I've always been curious about, you know, undercover. I don't meet too many FBI undercover, retired FBI undercovers. It's not like they're just like a dime a dozen that I see, you know, all the time. So asking this question, how how did you keep yourself mentally in a spiritual spot without the whole Donnie Brasco effect taking to play, where you kind of you kind of become too attached? Like, did that spiritual side of your life allow you to stay emotionally detached from that group because
Not
of their
always.
bases? Does that
No,
make
not all.
sense?
Yeah, not all. It does, but not always. And Donnie Brasco, you got to remember the movie Donnie Brasco. It's Hollywood. There's some things in that
Sure,
movie that didn't ever really happen.
of course.
Joe Pistone is a mentor of mine. He may say he's a friend now, but he's still a mentor to me. And I'm blessed enough to have him do a blurb on the book.
I
Um,
was asking more from the spot where you had said that because of Joe Pistone, you guys had to do psychological play.
but it's not
Um,
because no. Let me rephrase it for you. It's not because of things he did. He helped create
no, it
that
was
unit.
his experience in
Yeah,
understanding that.
like
Yes,
Joe Pistone and Steve Bann is a retired agent as well. But Steve Bann's background was he was a clinical psychologist. He might have been a psychiatrist. I'm thinking psychologist before he became an FBI agent. So they got together after all the stuff Joe went through, and they were like, "Look, we need more. We need somebody to be doing oversight on undercovers. We need people to go through a psychological assessment process. You do your test, you take all the tests, then you sit down with a psychologist, then you sit down with a Joe Pistone. You now here I am. If I've been BSing you because my minor is psychology and I knew the answers to the questions, no, I don't find my mother hot. No, I don't like harming small animals. No, I'm not fascinated with fire, right? But then you sit down with a psychologist. Maybe you're still lying. You shouldn't, but maybe you are. Then you sit down with a seasoned undercover who's going to ask you some more personal questions. And it kind of goes to that old saying is you can't bullshit a bullshitter. Well, in the undercover community, we say undercover is you see, and we use it as a verb. Hey, don't you see me? You know, hey, you can't you see a you see. So the process is unbelievable, and not every agency has it. And there are other agencies and world working groups that have worked with us, and we've learned from them. Iron sharpens iron. It's biblical. You work with MI6, MI5. You work with other countries, Australia, Norway, whatever, Iceland, whatever, and we all try to help each other out. But yeah, it needed to be done, and it's a great program. And at a minimum, even if you don't want to talk to anybody in your department about stuff, that's cool. Go find somebody because that psychologist has a toolbox. And it would be like me telling you, Ryan, if I said, "Hey, you need to build this house," and all I give you is a hammer, it's going to be a tough job, right? But if I give you an unbelievable, awesome set of tools, I'm going back to Fast Times at Ridgemont High. My dad's a TV repairman. He has an awesome set of tools. If I give you an awesome set of tools to build the house, it's going to be easier. So that psychologist, maybe you get along with them, maybe you don't. Go find a different one. Go find a different counselor. They have a toolbox that they can help you. And don't think just because you're a type A and you're a first responder or you're military and you're SWAT and you're this Mr. Tactical, you know, um, you still need to. Mental health is like a muscle. If you work out to stay in shape so you can do your job, you also need to keep this in shape. And just know that there's somebody you can go talk to, because I'll say this to you. I say it on a lot of interviews I do. People don't know this, but first responder world, and I'm throwing military in there as well. A lot of people don't think as military as first responder because they do more things overseas. It's still an oath you take. It's still a calling. It's still that same belief system. So fire, medic, law enforcement, military, we're number one in suicide. We're number one in divorce. We're number
Mhm.
one in alcoholism. As I sit here sipping on a drink, it's probably not the best promo, but um, we're also number one in you can throw pills and whatever you want in there now, but I'm not sure if it's number one anymore. But we are very high ranked in dying within 5 years after retiring. So who signs up for that? Why do we got to start taking care of each other and our own? And
Yeah.
if that means you call me at 4 in the morning, my phone rings 24/7. I'll take it and we'll go talk.
Guys, his cell phone number's in the description of the show below. No, I'm just totally kidding. No, but I mean, you break a good point, and that's where I feel like maybe your faith definitely helped you stay grounded in that, because it was always something to kind of rely on, fall back on, and not actually lose who you were. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It kept me grounded. Um, there was many times in my career, in my life. Um, you grow up with a certain mindset, you tough, this, that, and the other, and then you crash. And when you crash, you're sitting here going, What the hell's going on? I'm scared. I eat a small amount of food and I feel like I can't breathe. What is happening? Am I having a nervous breakdown? I mean, my parents both went through depression. My dad had a deep depression in his 30s. I'm like, I'm in my 30s at that point. Maybe this is genetic. I don't know. But I'm telling them everything because I want to know. Do you please help me figure out what the heck happened and what's going on? But when I'm with a small group or a life group, whatever you want to call it, that is a group outside of your church conglomerate, your denomination, whatever, the entire church, you've got a small group of Christian friends. And if I could take you to my small group right now, brother, you would love it, Ryan. You would fit right in. It is a motley crew. We've got presidents of riding clubs. We've got sergeant at arms of riding clubs. We've got golfers. We got everything. We got the whole mix. But we all have our faith and we're all best friends. So when I'm going through those tough times, and I share it, because a lot of times when you're like you do studies, like, hey, let's do, you know, growing children God's way or whatever the series may be. But at the end of the meeting, then it's like, hey, does anybody have any prayer requests? And that's when it starts opening up. That's when people are like, it's always shy in the beginning. It's always like, anybody. Okay, yeah, you. Well, I need you to pray for my aunt. This, that, and the other. Yeah. Then it starts coming out. Man, I need you to pray for me. I'm really struggling right now. I'm telling you, Ryan, when I get placed in a chair in the middle of a room and everybody in my small group lays their hands on me, including my wife and my daughters if they're there, and they pray over me, brother, I'm telling you right now, when that prayer's done, I could take on King Kong. I will run headfirst through a brick wall. Um, and It's always been special. I was raised very good, very well, however you say it. On paper, I'm tight. On paper, I'm tight because there's a grammar corrector thing. But I mean, but I'm just saying,
I'm the
yeah.
same way, man. I'm
I'm
the
like,
same
hey,
way.
I know I look and sound like trash, but on paper, I'm pretty good. But that love and that caring, and it humbles you. It humbles you, and it also lets you know, even if you're big, if you're getting too big for your britches, Oh, look at this. I was on Joe Rogan. This no, that's nothing. It's nothing. It's not. I mean, it's if it wasn't for my faith, this is the way I said this somewhere else. It's God first, it's family second, and I'm including my dogs in the family, by the way. Uh, and then everything else is just trickles down. It doesn't really matter. So at the end of the day, even though I'm a workaholic, and if we came up with a code, me and my wife, it's like if she calls me, she's like, "Hey, I need you to come home," and I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm busy, blah blah blah. I'm doing this, I'm doing this." It's not. I said, I want you to break through that. If you really need me, I just want you to say, "Hey, I need you right now." And once we came up with that code, Ryan, I can't tell you how many times I've been in the middle of an interrogation, I've been in the middle of an arrest, and I took heat from my friends, my coworkers, and they're like, "Oh, you just needed to go home early." Let me tell you something, you wagon of jack, you jack wagon, right? You nincompoop. I'm trying to keep it clean here. You don't know my code with my family, and you don't know that my wife just told me she needed me. And at the end of the day, when you said it like that, the job's not important. It's God and my family, and I will drop everything. If you put it into perspective for me, because I am goal oriented and I'm a workaholic. But tell me, no, shut up. I need you right now. You don't have to say anything else. I'm not asking any questions. It may be something simple. It may be something I may get there and go, you didn't really need me. I'm coming.
And that's why you're still married after a very intensified
Woo.
undercover. I mean, at this point in time, like, if
Nobody
there's a
knows my wife's real name, but I'm going to tell you something. After Rogan and all this other stuff, she has a huge following.
well,
Like it's like you make
yeah.
sure you tell your wife. I mean, I've got former UFC heavyweight champions who are my buddies now. Love you. And they're like texting me going, "Dude, your wife is a good woman. Don't screw that up." And I'm like, "Okay, so the next time I tell you I got to leave and go home, you're not going to give me trash, right?" you know, it's it. There's an old cliche saying: behind every good man, there's a great woman. That's true. And I'll tell you something: in the first responder realm, the spouses. I don't care whether you're a husband, partner, wife, doesn't matter. They don't get enough credit because in my situation, my wife's not law enforcement. She married me. She didn't marry the job, but essentially she married the job. so, uh,
No, your
and
wife
I,
deserves a
and I'm not gonna say
retirement
it's fair.
watch. Your wife deserves a retirement watch just as much as you.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you. Well, I'll tell you when I say. I'll tell you when I say. They call and they go. "Hey, country, what's going on?" I go, "Hey, so what are you doing in retirement?" I said, "I'm trying to pay my wife back for all the BS I put her through in the last 28 years." That's what I tell them. Sometimes I do good, sometimes not so much.
So obviously that's something that that's a big deal because it you probably couldn't do the whole drop everything while you were undercover with the Outlaws. We're going to touch on that here in a second, but you talked about how it didn't matter if it was midnight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever time, you always called her at night whenever you got back to the hotel
On the outlaw case,
on the
yes.
Outlaw case. That's a
They're
huge check in. Like, that's
yeah.
big.
Sometimes it's 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was 7:30 in the morning, and I'm leaving the clubhouse, and I call her, and then they're common now, burner phone, but you buy a phone that doesn't come back to anything. You pay it by the minute.
Mhm.
Anybody can do it. Anybody can be up to nefarious activity, and you do it. That's what I did because you don't want my undercover phone calling an FBI phone or my real wife's phone number. Not my real wife. That sounded terrible. My wife's real phone is what I should have said. There are undercover wives, and I have some great friends who are female undercovers, and that is a whole nother block.
That's like a
And
real version of a work wife.
they are listen, people have no idea. The women FBI, forget anything you read in the book, you see on this podcast, Joe Rogan. The women, the female FBI undercover, they're just female undercovers, period. Unbelievable, insane, insane
They
what they
have to
do
be.
and what they can do.
They have to be. They have to put up with a ton. A
Nothing but
ton.
respect, nothing but respect. And yeah, it's amazing.
So,
So I'm sorry. You
good.
said that call. I know what
Yeah.
you're getting to. I know what you're getting to. Are you talking about the one I got stripped in the basement?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's kind of a big deal.
Well, so before we get into that, because that's going to be a big one. I want you to kind of start a little bit forward of that. Tell everybody how you worked your way into the Outlaws. As far as and you don't have to go into the whole thing, just a little bit of a synopsis up until that point, because if you've heard the story, you didn't know what the fuck was going on. Your boy did, but you didn't, and it wasn't even your group. It was a different group calling the shots for that one for you.
Kind of. Yeah.
So kind of give everybody a quick little synopsis of that forward part of that story.
So I already talked about the Outlaws a little bit and how I was in there for 2 years. We got to the year and a half point. When I first went in, I mean, I have to have a reason with this accent to be in Massachusetts. Why the hell am I in Massachusetts? You know, I'm at a gentleman's club, and I say that with air quotes because I say in the book that's an oxymoron because I bounced in those joints. And I know I have a family of nothing but women. Even the dogs are girls, and all the toilet seats are down in my house. But I'm like, there's no gentleman in those clubs, man. I'm like, and neither was I in those days. Not knocking anybody. I'm not trying to chastise you and say you're terrible if you go to those, but we're really not gentlemen. You're not. You're, it's not. It's not. That's not the place to be a gentleman, right?
No,
Um,
Hooters is more gentlemanly.
oh my gosh. Did you see their rebranding? I don't even. I'm not going to
It's
get
a
on that.
family. It's right. It's a family restaurant now, guys.
Oh,
If you
I'm like,
haven't
yeah.
caught that, Google rebranding of Hooters if you
Oof.
want a nice laugh.
By the way, how many times have you gone to Hooters to get the wings because they're great?
No.
It's really to watch the UFC fight. That's the reason
Yeah,
I
it's
went.
it's the only reason to go.
Or the WWE pay per view before you used to get it on Peacock and all that. Yeah, but it's like, oh yeah, and then you see you see the husband bringing the wife and kids to Hooters, and I'm going.
Yeah, it's just not. That's just not. That's not
I'm
right.
like, I mean, I'm not hating on you. There is no judgment from me. I'm. It's a safe place, but really, I'm like, son, check out that one. It's really weird. But anyway, so I started going to the gentlemen's clubs where they frequented. I come in, I get invited over to the group because I'm being me at a bar, and the intelligence from the original from the case team, not original, the case team gave me intelligence that was good and correct to set me up for success. So after a year and a half undercover, we've done all kinds of things. It started they learned over time that I was a high-ranking member of an international theft ring. And it started with like they would report their vehicle stolen to get insurance money, and they would sell the vehicle to me at a stolen price, and they thought I was taking it to Mexico. So now fast forward to a year and a half. There's been carjackings, home invasions, we didn't pin it on anybody, but we had a good idea. But there was a murder of a Hell's Angel president. Um, so there's all kinds. I'm sorry. There's all kinds of things going on. The case team is also doing a Title III wiretap, and that is not like the movies. You don't just say, "Hey, I want to be on that phone." No, it's like an 80-page affidavit. It goes through layers of approvals and back and forth and back and forth. And when you finally get on the line, uh, 15 days later, you got to put her. It's just crazy. It's not like TV. But we were getting some really good intelligence, and everybody was already predicated. It kind of goes back to what we were talking to earlier. I'm not coming in there and you're broke and you're not a criminal. And I go, hey, you know what? I can get you out of debt and I can pay you 50 grand if you help me for 5 minutes with this dope deal. That's entrapment. We can't do that.
Yes.
And I'm like, look, so at a year and a half in, we've done all kinds of criminal deals, but now we're up in the ante. They've always wanted, many of them always wanted a contact with the cartel because as a drug dealer, you want the purest, you want the purest quality of dope for the cheapest price because that means possibly you can step on it once, twice, maybe three times, and you make two, three times your money. And that's what they're looking for. So they saw me as a commodity to get that connection. So we're amping up to do a drug deal. They don't know that it's going to be 40 kilos of real cocaine and 1,000 pounds of weed, which was a big deal back then. And the night before the operation, I'm told to come to the clubhouse, and I get to the clubhouse, and as you stated earlier, every night on that case, no matter if it was 4, 5, 7 in the morning, I would call my wife, and she would answer the phone, and she'd say, "Hey, are you okay?" Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She would answer the phone and she'd say, I might just say, "Hey, babe, it's me. It's the end of the night. I'm done. I'm going to the hotel room. When I wake up later, I'll call you." Or sometimes we may talk for a little bit, but usually she's like, "Okay, I love you," and she'd go back to sleep. So I get to the clubhouse that night, and I'll speed it up a little bit for time
Oh, you're
purposes.
fine.
Well, the gist of it is this: I go into the clubhouse, and I am in there doing my normal shtick. I'm cracking jokes. I'm being Tex. I'm being Scott Payne, the country jovial guy, even though my last name's not Payne. It was Calloway. And what I couldn't see is what they were already prepping for. And if I'm looking at you, Ryan, and I crack a joke, you're laughing, but when I turn my head, I don't see your face, but my recording devices picked it up. I just didn't see it. Is that you would go completely cold face. So in other words, you're like, "Ha, ha, that's funny, Tex, ha,
Oh,
ha,"
fake. Yeah.
and then they get serious, and you get to see somebody in the back warming up their punches. And my
Oh,
second
man.
closest contact in that case was Clothesline, and he's the enforcer. And he comes up to me and he says, "Tex, you got a minute?" And I said, "Yeah." I'd been in that clubhouse so many times. There's only one door I'd never been in. And we went in that door, and it's a tight, skinny stairwell down to a very, very small basement. I couldn't stand up straight. I could probably touch the wall on both sides. And they've got their pistols. So I'm now at gunpoint, and he tells me there's a lot of shit going on. This are his words. There's a lot of shit going on. It's my job to take care of my brothers. I need you to write down your full name, your date of birth, your social, anything you can think of to write down. And I need you to take all your clothes off because I got to check you for a wire. The problem is I was wired to the hilt, and time slows down. It's an adrenaline dump. You are having a fight or flight. And for the people that don't know, you've probably had an adrenaline dump. If you've had anything traumatic, it could just be your first car wreck. Everything slows down. What you're hearing is slow motion. It's like, whoa, whoa. So you hear me talking, it's like, yo, Ryan, yo, it's like spirit world kind of stuff. So it's slowing down. And then your eyes, it's time dilation. It's click, click. It's coming in frames. You can feel your heart beating all through your body. Your hamstrings get weak.
Mm.
And I'm panicking, and I write down, I forget my middle name because of the stress. I do some things that are coming with training and with reps, and they call up to find out things to look up on a website. And I'm talking to Clothesline, and because that's one of the things I was taught: don't vapor lock, don't get the deer in the headlights, keep talking, because this is your best weapon. Not in a sexual reference, but your mouth is your best weapon. I'm like, I'm trying to talk, I'm trying to find out, hey, am I okay? Should I be worried about this? And he's telling me, hey, look, it's my job to do this. It's just business. Trust me, if somebody accused me of being a fed, I'd probably smash them in the effing mouth. And I said, I'm not happy. But my voice is not, if you hear the recording, I don't sound like this. My voice is way higher. My throat is way tighter. And I'm not even enunciating well. I'm just like, I'm talking through my nose because I'm panicking. And I take all my clothes off pretty much. I mean, I take everything off the top, boots off, pants and underwear down to my ankles. So ankles up, I'm naked. And he checks me and he's looking at stuff. Meanwhile, there's another dude on the steps. He's holding a gun, not letting me go. And I passed that, and I think I'm done. So my adrenaline kind of, okay, I'm cool. All right, I'm back down. I'm getting relaxed. And then he grabs a piece of clothing, and then in that piece of clothing was a recording device. And he starts kneading it, and he's like, "Hey," because by this time we're kind of joking. He's like, "Hey, I'm not going to find anything in here I don't want to, like some naked pictures of my old lady, right?" And he kind of laughs, and I kind of give a BS laugh. I'm like, "Yeah, I hope not." And as I'm watching him go through this piece of clothing and kneading it with his fingers, he's doing this. I'm like, this is 2005, 6, 7, 8ish. Technology is not what it is today, and I'm like, he's going to be able to feel it. And I don't even know I do it, but after watching the recording so many times, you hear me literally go, as I'm watching. I don't know I do it. And he looks right at it and he misses it by a hair. And I pass the test and I go back up and we live to fight another day. So now I'm coming down off that adrenaline dump. I'm asking for more Jack and Cokes. I go out with the president and my good friend Scott Town. And at this point, I'm pissed off. I took it personal. It's not the correct thing to do. I'm Scott Payne, an FBI undercover agent. I'm not Scott Calloway, the guy hanging out with the outlaws.
Yeah, but if
Uh,
you didn't take it personal, they would have thought that was weird too. Then, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
I'll let you light your cigar.
Thank you. I don't know. I mean, maybe, Ryan. I'm not sure.
Because, like you just said, while you're lighting your cigar, you had mentioned how your buddy was like, I'd punch a guy right in the face. I'd almost kind of think like, after you got away with it, like I'd want to be like, yeah, it's right. I told you guys I wasn't. What the hell?
I kind of did, but I also got really, really mad. And I'm like, and it's maybe the immaturity, maybe just whatever. I mean, I was upset.
Human, human.
Yeah, I'm being human, right? So I'm like, you know what? Tomorrow, if you guys show up, I'm going to strip all you in the parking lot. Whatever. They let me vent and do my thing. But here's some things that really, I think that's what you're leading to. What some crazy things that happen. Everybody asks, man, hey, um, and if you've seen other interviews, I apologize. It's going to sound very
No,
similar because
please.
it really happened. You
Yeah.
know, and they're like, hey, what would you have said if he'd have found it? I had two responses. Number one, because I'm a jovial idiot, would have been if he'd have said, "What is this?" I'd have been like, "I don't know, some naked pictures of your old lady." Try to buy some time, maybe they laugh it off. The only other thing I had to say, and I remember it like it was yesterday, is the gig is up. I'm an undercover FBI agent, and I can walk out of here and we can see each other in court, or all hell's going to break loose. But that would have been a bluff on my part because, to my understanding, the cover team could never hear me when I was in that clubhouse, whether it was walls or whatever, who knows. Um, but what I found out that night when I handed over my equipment is that the original task force officers, the main case team was my buddy who was the case agent, Tim. It was Massachusetts State Trooper, Higgy, and a Brockton PD detective, Joe. That was the main team, us four. And that night, Higgy and Joe started the shift. They had been in that clubhouse before. Something about the initial exchange made them think something's not right. And they had pulled to an area where they could hear everything. So the entire time
Ooh.
I was being stripped, they could hear it. They knew my baseline. They could hear in my voice that I was shitting gold bricks and scared. Um, but they were listening because they're like, we're ready to pull the trigger. They knew that the door was heavily fortified, which it was. I think it was a steel frame. It definitely had a steel bar across the door, multiple deadbolts. And they thought, look, we're going to drive the van into the wall next to the door to kind of breach it. And that's what they were planning on doing. And that's a plan, but they didn't pull the trigger. They were listening. They had radioed back to Boston because it was really the start of the shift, even though it was like 7 or 8 at night. And all the way it was told to me is all the people working that night were coming blue lights and sirens all the way down the highway from Boston to Taunton. So when I handed over that equipment, I was like, man, I didn't know that. That was crazy. And back to calling my wife. That night when I called her, and this goes back to faith. And sometimes when I tell the story, I get teary eyed. She'll sit through my blocks now because I'm not employed by the FBI anymore. And a lot of times when I do it, she cries because you got to understand, my wife knows everything there is to know about me.
Mm-hmm.
So when she hears my voice in that basement, she knows that I'm scared because she knows my voice. And so I called her that night And the first thing she says is, "Are you okay?" Now, I don't know. I'm like, "Yeah, why?" And she said, "Because at such and such time tonight, I was driving with our daughters in the car in McAllen, Texas." You got to realize McAllen is on the border. Follow Texas all the way to the bottom. That's where she was at. I was in Boston, Massachusetts, almost to the top northeast of the United States. She said, "At such and such time, I was driving the girls and I got this overwhelming feeling. And I pulled over on the side of the road and I started praying for you." And Ryan, I matched it up. It's when I was in the basement.
Dude, ooh, man, that's such a eerie level of circumstances in that. I mean, have you ever thought I would have had a chance to get out if they wanted to scrap? Would you have had an opportunity to take a few of them, or would you have? Do you think you would have like what
Look,
happens if they did challenge you?
who knows? And I would imagine if we brought them all on today, they'd be like, "Oh, we were just
Well,
messing
of
around."
course, of
But who
course.
knows at the moment? And how am I supposed to know? I don't have a crystal ball. Would I've taken a butt whipping? Would I've been shot? I don't know. You got to realize it was right after church. And for the listeners that don't know, there's a mandatory meeting every
Mhm.
week, and it's called church in the biker community, especially in one percenter clubs. So every outlaw from the Taunton chapter was there. The doors locked. Even if I made it out of the basement from clothesline and the other guy, um, I'm not going to say his name because he's been trolling me on Instagram. Pretty funny stuff, actually. But he, if I would have made it past them, I still had another 10 outlaws before I could even make it to the doors.
It
So,
looked like that scene in Kill Bill where
oh,
you
yeah, yeah, sure. And as I say, in my self-deprecating humor, I'd have probably pulled a Tommy boy and knocked myself out on a joist as soon as I started fighting because I'm like, I can't even stand up down here. So yeah, it was.
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, you can be the baddest dude in the world. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's come on. What are you doing? Had I seen plastic on the floor, yeah, I would have tried to fight because I know what that means in the
that's what I
criminal
was gonna
underworld.
that's what I was gonna ask you. Plastic is a totally different thing.
Mhm.
You know, and so as you're kind of in that state of mind, first off, how much prep did you have before going into Outlaws Undercover? 3 months, 9 months, 6 months?
I don't understand. You mean like
Like
for
your
that
cover
case?
story that you had to
Oh
learn,
no,
that
yeah,
you had
I
to
built it.
so
No,
how
I built it. I went probably let's just say 6 months
so
because
you were 6
I
months on
kind
the
of knew
case
about it.
before you were undercover?
Well, let's just say not necessarily on the case, but already building my new backstory because like
Okay.
my backstory was landscaping. Why am I in Massachusetts landscaping? What am I landscaping for 3 months? And then it's snowing and I'm shoveling snow. I don't know.
But
It
you're
didn't
having to
fly.
go in and, like, quiz yourself on all of this, and, like,
Oh yeah.
they're so, like, that's gotta be months and months and months of grilling you over and over until it's second nature for you to answer a question like Scott Calloway.
At that point in my career, yes, I spent way more time. As I got longer in the tooth, I knew my stories for different cases and I could hop back and forth, but that doesn't mean I'm lax. That doesn't mean I did it on the fly. It means
Sure,
that
sure.
when I
You're
took
a
the cross
professional.
off and I put the skull on, and I know on this case I'm Scott Anderson, and I'm going, okay, and I go through everything: high school, family, jobs, where I live, everything, because I want it fresh in my mind.
So when you were driving to the clubhouse, did you review all of this stuff every day in your head so it was always there? Like your backstory a little
Maybe
bit?
not every day, maybe not every day if I feel comfortable where I'm already at. But yeah, I mean, you need to look real, right? It needs to
For
be.
sure.
You want the bad guys, possible bad guys. They're not convicted yet at that point, but you want them going to bed going, "Hey, that was a cool day." You don't want them laying in bed going, "That new guy text. There's something weird about that guy," and that's you can argue about trade crafts and you can argue about, "Hey, you're giving stuff. Are you giving?" At the end of the day, it's do you believe me? Do you trust me? And in the criminal world, it's greed, man. It's what do you? Green is a very popular color in the criminal world. It's all about money.
So,
So
so let me ask you this: Is it? is it more dangerous? And I'm asking this from a level of power, right? Power in life. Is it more dangerous to infiltrate a biker gang or white collar crime? Because you would think the white collar
Mm.
potentially is more politically connected, could off you. Like in your opinion, what I feel like the outlaw is much more of like a definitive "we gonna hurt you right now" type of.
I think it's a case by case basis. I would have probably went the other way early on in my career. I would have said white collar is less threatening. It's a
Okay,
banker. It's an
okay.
embezzlement guy. But if you've been in law enforcement long enough, you realize that sometimes those are the more dangerous when you put that first cuff on because they've never been to prison. They've never been that thug life kind of thing. And they realize that this is real now and I'm not going to do well in prison. So there's always a propensity for violence in law enforcement. It doesn't matter if it's a possibility of me taking your freedom and putting you in jail, or me, or any law enforcement officer, us, or maybe I'm threatening your ideology and your belief system, and you are a radical jihadist, and now I'm getting ready. Maybe you want to be a martyr. There's always a propensity for violence, and you have to be prepared. And that's why we have to stay vigilant. And as a first responder,
A- as you're kind of going through and putting together this case with outlaws, did what were some of the preconceived notions you had, and how did those change as the case was built? Meaning, everybody's seen the biker gangs. You bumped into my old lady. I'm gonna beat you down and drag you out of the bar. So like, how much of the preconceived notions did you have, and how much did that change? Does that make sense?
yes, I don't think a lot changed for me because I was a biker.
So
I
you
grew
already
up on
knew that one percenter
yeah. I mean,
underground world.
I grew up on motorcycles, and when I was bouncing in Charleston and North Charleston, South Carolina, that's a Hell's Angel state. When I was bouncing at the so-called gentlemen's clubs, um, the Hell's Angels helped me out a lot. I mean, there were several fights I was in where I'm on the bottom of a pile and 10 people are hitting me while I'm hitting the one on the bottom, and the Hell's Angels are the one that pulled everybody off. So I kind of understood.
Okay.
And I did a lot of reading. I mean, like I was infatuated almost with the biker culture. I read every book you could read. I don't care if it was written by Hunter Thompson or if it was Sonny Barger himself. I read them all. If it was an undercover book, I read it. Um, and I've always been fascinated with that culture.
So how tell everybody how much of Hollywood gets it right in that biker world, and how much of it is like bloviate? Like, do they really drag people out for no reason and beat the piss out of them? Is it a
Yeah,
little bit more? But is it a little bit more thought out than the way Hollywood makes it look?
I know I've already said it, but it's a case by case basis. It's not even a club by club basis. It's a chapter by chapter basis.
Okay, okay, so it's that
You
micro.
could be in the Outlaws and be in Brockton, and it's older guys that all have 9 to 5 jobs. They may have done time, they may have not. And other than doing some street level stuff like a little bump here and there or whatever, hiring a prostitute, whatever, it's not a federal level. And then you might roll into a chapter that wants to be more old 70s, 60s school and brown wings and purple wings and red wings and all kinds of crazy stuff and beating people up and like I think you said it earlier. No, it wasn't you. I was on a phone call with my with a great buddy of mine who's still an active undercover in the FBI. But you 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 just don't know. It depends on the case. They could be wanting to just it could be a startup group. That's what I was trying to get to. It could be a startup group that's like we're a new club and we want to prove ourselves. It could be that new member that says, I want to prove myself. So I'm gonna go mow this person down. It depends on who you're working. I mean, you have to look in some instances. If I come out and say, yo, I'm an undercover FBI agent, that may save you. But in some instances, if you say I'm an undercover FBI agent, that may get you killed quicker because it's a badge of honor and they will wear that to prison proudly. So it's you have to the more intelligence you have, the better you can set yourself up for success and not failure.
Would you say that the people you ran across, that obviously I think society would say they're stupid people, right? Because they're in the outlaws, or they can't be super intelligent because they're a criminal. But that's not always the case, right? Would
Mm.
you? I mean, these have to be like, if they were not doing what they were doing, they would probably be successful running whatever they were running. Would you kind of agree with that?
I'm going to go back to something I said earlier. I don't like belittling or dehumanizing or say these bunch of stupid idiots. That's not me. But you got to look at what I come from. You got to look at my relatives. You got to look at where I grew up. That's that. When I say they're my people, I don't mean I'm a white supremacist. I don't mean I'm a violent criminal. But we, sometimes we come from the same place.
But I think society thinks of them as not being too bright because of the profession that they're in, and
Could be
they're
the situation.
violent
I hear
and
you.
whatever. And
I hear
that's
you.
just not the case.
No, I hear you. And it could be that they're a product of their environment. It could be that they've been dealt a bad hand and this is all they know. Remember when Michael Vick got busted for dog fighting and everybody was like, oh my gosh, the horror. I'm like, that's how he grew
That's how I
up.
grew up. Yeah.
If you worked in the hood, like I worked in the hood, dog fighting was huge. They fight dogs all the time. We may find it very inhumane, but at an early age, they were exposed to it and they don't find it inhumane. And if he's never been chastised or got in trouble for it, well, now he's making a bunch of money. He's still hanging out with the same people. They're just doing it on a bigger level. But I will say, to your point, I have done many cases as a law enforcement officer where I'm looking at this like this person. I'm like, dude, this guy is a great businessman. He's a drug dealer, but he's a great businessman. He always has enough cash collateral on hand to buy 10 kilos of cocaine. I mean, we're talking like 200 grand plus in a storage unit somewhere. And you're like, man, if you took half of that effort and put it to a legit job, man, you would be successful. I'm not going to say you can go pay cash for a brand new Dodge Challenger with custom rims, but I'm saying you wouldn't go to prison for 10 plus years. So yeah, it's just I'm not hating on that. It's just people get dealt different cards, and sometimes we make bad. I've made plenty of bad choices. I mean, I've been given second, third, fifth, 20th chances, and if I hadn't been and been forgiven or given a second and all those other chances, there's no way I'd be where I'm at.
Now, I want to kind of delve into a little bit about some of the Nazi stuff and the KKK stuff that you were in, because that is definitely much more of a, at least in my belief, and I may be completely wrong, more of a spiritual group than the Outlaws, in the sense of KKK. A lot of the white supremacists, I have a feel they kind of fall more back on the Bible, biblical plans. They just interpret it the wrong way. Would you say I'm correct in my thought, or am I way off?
You're not way off on the white nationalism groups, neo-Nazi groups that fall under the Christian identity, not to be confused with Christianity. They take the story of the Bible of the Garden of Eden and they twist the living you know what out of it. So they'll take the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, fruit of the forbidden tree. You can have anything you want in the Garden of Eden. You just can't have that tree. Serpent tricks Eve into eating the apple. They take that story and they say that kind of the same story, but the fruit of the forbidden tree is a sexual act. And now Eve is having sex with the serpent, which is a man of color, aka Satan, and they procreate a child, and that child is Cain. And that is the mud race, non whites. That's what they call them,
Mm,
mud race, because they're not white, all the way down. But the procreation between Adam and Eve is
is
Abel,
able, yeah.
and Abel is the pure white race. So yeah, they twist the crap out of it, much like the members of the base that I am. Well, I can say we. I mean, I was the undercover, but it was the FBI. It takes a village. That unbelievable case teams all over the United States and working partners. We're working partners on the other side or across the pond, as they say. Um, they took paganism, and much like Hitler did, he started looking at Norse mythology and all this stuff, and I mean, the whole super soldier story, the Captain America kind of thing is
Hmm.
that was steroids back in the day. Meth.
Yeah.
It's like, man, let's load these dudes up on meth and let's go hit some house kind of thing. Um, but they take paganism, and I've got very, very close friends who are full blown pagans. And even though I'm a Christ follower, I love them and I respect the you know what out of them, and I hope they respect me back. But that white supremacy culture took paganism and twisted it. So when we're having a blot, BLOT, which is the ritual in paganism, and we're praying to our gods in the deity or in the pantheon, sorry, in the pantheon that we believe in, whether it's Norse or Egyptian or whatever, we're praying to those gods. They take that and twist it. They take it and say, okay, the wild hunt. The wild hunt in Norse mythology is essentially Odin and other gods going out and destroying their enemies in the middle of the night, kind of thing. Well, in the basis twisted mythology or twisted ideology, they're saying the wild hunt is us starting to cleanse the world of anti-fascist, liberal, and non-whites. So they take that and they say, "Hey, now we're going to go out and start cleansing the world of that." So, yeah, there's religion. And I'll say this: it's not just white supremacy. In all your extremism, my co-writer she profoundly claims she's my best friend now. She's agnostic. She is extremely liberal. She's Canadian, but she did journalism overseas in the sandbox and all kinds of international terrorism, radical jihadists, that kind of thing. On their extremism level, they're taking that belief system and they're twisting it. And whether you're a black separatist, left extremism, right extremism, hate begets hate, number one. Number two, they all kind of end with the same thing. It's just us and nobody else, and it's some kind of socialistic thing where we get everything for free, and it's nothing but whites. Because surely that'll fix everything, Ryan.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, yeah,
Let's
of
just make a
course.
village of whites, because nothing bad can happen then.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. So as you're kind of infiltrating some of this pagan stuff with the KKK and learning how they're doing and twisting stuff, obviously you were a Christian at this point in time.
Mhm.
Was it hard like as they're doing prayers, you're probably saying your own prayers like, I'm sorry for having to do this. Please protect me. I love you. Like don't hold this against me someday. Like I mean, like how much of that did you actually have to buy into? And was there a line that you were unwilling to cross spiritually to make the
Hmm.
case?
Man, there's a lot of questions in there. Hang on, let me think about this. Uh, Spiritually aligned, I'm not willing to cross. Not no, not for the job.
Okay.
Because and here's my prayers on the walk down. Maybe not while I'm praying to Odin or Thor or Ragnar or Rolo or whoever you want to pick. I'm not thinking about Lord, please forgive me for this right now. I've prayed about it going down. I pray for
Okay.
protection. You also got to realize I'm being prayed over by my
Mhm.
family, by my friends, by my small group, by my church. Um, I guess the best way for me to answer it is this: I would have not been able to do the things I've done and infiltrate the groups I've infiltrated and 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 just have the skill set I have if it wasn't for the Lord blessing me anyway. That's the wrestling I had when I crashed physically and mentally and I was beat down and I was super humble and I'm writing journals because I'm trying to figure out what's going wrong and I'm scared to death and I'm thinking, how can I get back to even being close to the guy I was and self confident in doing these things, whether it's SWAT, FBI, undercover, whatever it is. How can I do that and remain humble to God? And I just remember praying over it, having those conversations daily, multiple times a day. And then I got hit in the face with a brick, and it was the Lord telling me, son, you would have never been able to do it, anything you've done, if it wasn't for me blessing you with what I did. So I hope that when I cross the path and show up
Oh,
at the
dude, you're
pearly
getting a
gates,
high five for
no,
sure, dude.
I ain't saying that. I ain't taking it for granted, but I hope I hear
Well done, good and
job
faithful
well
servant.
done, good and faithful servant. Yeah, that's what I hope I hear.
Yeah, he'll have a nice cigar for you too, I'm sure. Um,
D minus, man. Remember D minus, just not an F.
So I'm so curious. We talk a lot about your wife. You've talked a lot about your wife, and I don't know too much. You've talked a lot about kind of your kids and how this type of work affects your children. So are you willing to talk about that a little bit? Kind of like, did they know what Daddy was doing, or
I
was
can
Daddy on vacation?
well, I can talk a little bit about it. I am not my family unit, my circle, my inner family. It's not a military family. I've got so many friends and mentors, and I'm like, man, if I disappeared for 120 days to 6 months, and I said, hey, I got to go away. I can't tell you what I'm doing, but I'll see you when I get back. That my family would not make it through that. I would show up and the house would probably burnt down to the ground. Who knows, man? I don't know. I'd come back and I go, I swear my home was right here when I left. It doesn't work that way in my family. I shared probably way more than a lot of agents share. Um, I'm seeing some of the quotes. Thank you. That's funny. Uh, I'm starting to read them as they pop up. That's funny. I could use a bag of popcorn myself. But yeah, that wouldn't work in my family. So I shared probably way more than a lot of FBI agents share, or somebody may be like, well, this is operational security. Your wife shouldn't know that. And I'm like, well, okay, fire me. I don't know what you want me to do. My daughters knew a good bit. Now you got to remember when they're little. I mean, there's some funny stories. Like I'm undercover and I take a phone call from a bad guy. And it just so happens that when he calls, let me say it this way, it's going to be a very foul language conversation because this dude is a bad dude who is a bully and he thinks he's going to bully me. And I'm like, let me tell you something, and I'm like, and as I'm, and my oldest daughter, super detective. She's following me through the house. And I'm like, and I go to another room, and I go to another room, and I go to another room. And this is an inside joke in my family. I get to the last freaking room, which is the bonus room. I shut the door and I'm like, let me tell you something, you MF and blah, blah, blah. I was like, you tell you what happens when you do that in my circle, you get your fingers cut off or whatever, blah, blah. And I said something in a curse word, and I hear my daughter go, oh, and she looks at me, and all I did was this. I snapped my fingers and point like, get out. I never said anything. She runs upstairs bawling. She gets to my wife. This is a very early age. She gets to my wife, and my wife's like, what's wrong? And she says, Daddy yelled at me. And she says, what did he say? And my daughter goes, I never said nothing. I'm like, I'm trying to get away from you because I'm trying to cuss out this bad guy and let him know he can't bully me. And yeah, it was funny. So as they grow up, they start hearing those stories and what really was going on. But even now, with the book out, my youngest daughter is like, my wife's like, are you ever going to read the book? And she's reading it because she's traveling somewhere, and she's like, OMG. She's like, I remember this, but I had no idea. Dude, this is insane. And I'm like, yeah, so
How old are
this
they
is,
now?
I won't say.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough,
That's
fair
okay.
enough. Um,
They're
uh,
older. How about that?
no, yeah, yeah, totally. I fully
They're not
respect that.
babies anymore, but it's
Fully
okay.
respect, fully respect. I just didn't know if there was were they ever allowed to tell like friends coming over who you were? Like
Oh, now, yeah.
my uncle retired as deputy chief of my hometown in Chicago, and
Got a
he
lot of
would.
friends in Chicago. Spent a lot of time in Chicago.
I did
Uno's
too.
pizza.
I,
Uno's pizza, baby.
yeah. Oh, come on, Lumalnati's or Paisanos. Get on.
Deep dish.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You order
Okay.
by the
Okay.
pound. You order by the
Yes, you
pound,
do.
man.
Yes, you do. But my
I'm
my
like, I
uncle,
remember showing up there. I'm like, a pound? What do you mean pound? Like five? Well, I don't know. How much is 10 pounds? Is that a
yeah,
lot of pizza? I don't
you got
know.
you got to order it like 3 days in advance just to get it on time. Um, my
Eat it
uncle
for
used to
breakfast and lunch and dinner.
right. My uncle used to always tell people he would just make up a random job. I'm a
Yeah.
I'm
We
a
can do
garbage guy.
that.
I'm a union worker because he never wanted the questions. And when like my nieces and nephews, my my cousin's friends would come over, I'm pretty sure it was like, yeah, don't necessarily share type deal. Was that kind of how it was with you?
It no. My daughters knew I was in law enforcement. I remember the undercover. I think I mentioned it earlier. The undercover I did, it was very close to home when we moved to Tennessee. I'd only been here 6 months, and I got a chance to go undercover, deep undercover. And I'm like, it might work. I mean, nobody knows me here. I've only been here 6 months. I have no exposure with local law enforcement. I have no exposure with whatever. Let me introduce you to another undercover. And the source is like, nope, Scott only will do it with you. I'm like, all right. Clearly he could have done it with other undercovers, but he trusted me. And I said, you know what? I've done the deal where my wife's in McAllen and I'm in Boston, and she calls me crying and about something. Dog's sick, something's going wrong, a family crisis. Can I make it home fast? Hell no. It takes a whole day just to travel back home if I can get the flights. So I'm like, well, at least I'm closer to home. So if something breaks bad at home, I can tell the bad guys, yo. So my bad. That's one of my boys. He just got locked up. I got to go. I do whatever I got to do, and I get home. So I did it. But I remember trying to teach them. I was trying to teach my family a very, very minimal undercover. I'm like, if we're out eating and somebody comes up, the code word is turkey because I never
Ooh.
say turkey. If I say turkey, I'm Uncle Scott. Yeah, I'm going to get up and walk off. You guys got to leave. Whatever your family plan is. We do this in active shooter training. Like there's a class with Alert is unbelievable. The very good friend of mine, mentor of mine, Randy. I won't say his last name because I don't want to get him outed, but he was one of the founders of this thing. It's a family plan. It's like we're walking, we're talking, go. And it's like, bad guy, get out. You have these plans. But my family was terrible. Terrible. We'd be eating, and I'm like, they'd be like, Dad, I mean Uncle. Dad, I mean Uncle. And I'm like, all right. I realized real quick, we can't pull this off. So yeah, it was I laugh now, but it was tough. It was really tough, but there are pros and cons to being close to home. And there are, like I said, there's pros to being close to home, and there's a bunch of
I
cons
was
being
gonna
close to home.
say, yeah,
But once the case gets taken down, now you're overt. That's the whole thing. Once it's taken down, at some point, everybody's going to know I was the undercover. And now in this part of Tennessee, I am Scott Payne, the FBI agent now. I will never go undercover, deep undercover in this region again. And because it would be stupid to do it. And that's where I'm at.
so
So,
that actually leads me to my next question. You brought it up, and I've always been curious about this. And you kind of answered it without knowing that it was coming. But is there a radius around your home that you don't undercover it? And apparently you just answered and said no. Because I've always wondered that, like, because exactly what you just said. What happens if I'm going to the movie theater and just some dude bumps into me and now I've got to think on my feet? So, like, there is no radius to where you live.
well, first, let me start it with this. Let's pay respect to the law enforcement officers who are doing covert activity for a county or a city or a
Oh,
state,
100%.
and they have no ability. Because I did that in
Yeah.
Greenville County, South Carolina. How many ways can I shave my facial hair and cut my hair and change my clothes and change my cars before everybody? Now, we're not talking Miami, we're not talking 5 boroughs of New York City. I'm saying Greenville, South Carolina. How many ways can I change myself before everybody knows that's the narc, that's the guy? So let's pay respects to them
For
because
sure.
it is a very tightrope to walk because you want fresh faces who nobody knows, but they don't have the experience. So once you get the experience and you can be a good law enforcement officer, investigator in the narcotics, vice, and whatever community doing covert activity, you get known. But do you want to kick you out? Because that's what happens in a lot of departments. They're like, well, now you're known, we're kicking you out. But you need those people to train the new people
Yeah.
and to run the things. So on that spectrum, no, there's not a lot you can do. Deep cover FBI, you can go anywhere. I mean, you can go overseas. I mean, like again, you can do overseas stuff. It is way tougher now with facial recognition and all this stuff, but it's always a cat and mouse game. I look at it like I tell people, I go, you got the cops running speed, they're running the radar. And then you got companies making the radar detector. And then they go, we got them. And then the radars come out and they go, you ain't got this one. And then the radar detectors finally catch up and they go, well, we got this one, you know? And it's just a cat and mouse game. And I've said this in many interviews, but I'm going to tell my age, but it's very similar to a Bugs Bunny cartoon where the coyote shows up to clock in and the sheepdog shows up to clock in. It's like morning Sam, morning Ralph. They clock in, and all day long the coyote tries to steal the sheep and kill them. And all day long the sheepdog tries to kick the coyote's butt to save the sheep. And at the end of the day, they clock out and they got black eyes and they're all beat up and they got, see you tomorrow, see you tomorrow. It's just a cat and mouse game. And I hate to paint law enforcement in that light.
But you're not wrong.
But at this stage of life, if a bad guy, let me rephrase that. I'm not even going to say they're bad. If somebody calls me who I put in prison or I help catch, and they're like, hey, brother, I remember our friendship, and was that really you? Or were you lying the whole time? And I go, I only lied partially. That was me. And as I said before, I will do anything I can. Maybe it wasn't on when we started recording, but I have written character reference letters for people who I've put in jail because they now have a felony on their record and they're trying to do right. And I'm not saying that the law's right and you're always wrong. I'm just saying you're trying to do right by society, not break the law and do something good. But now you have a felony on your record. And you're like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get a job. And I'm like, put me down as a reference. If you're doing the right thing, I don't care. Like I told you, I was a piece of I've done all kinds of bad things. And I've had 20 plus chances re-given to me. If I can do something to help you and you're on the straight and narrow, not saying I know what's great and I'm the be all end all, but I can do a character. Who better
Right?
for you to put down?
Yeah.
Who better for you to put down for a job reference than the guy that gave you the dadgum felony? I'm like, they're like, wait a minute, you're vouching for this guy? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, why? And I'm like, well, because he made a bad choice. He grabbed a felony, but he's going to college. He's doing this. He wants to do right. And who knows? Maybe he'll be your best employee because of the skill set he has now from understanding what bad people doing wanting to do nefarious things does. So yeah, I don't. It's
It's funny because your story reminds me. My uncle was a game warden in Florida. I won't mention
always
the
wanted to be
county.
a game warden.
Dude, he loved it. When I say he was the only game warden in his county, or like one of two for like 15 years. He was so young when he
Oh,
started.
he had to build relationships. There's no way he
Oh
did that without
yes.
building
Oh no,
relationships.
the evidence locker was at his house. I saw the bald eagle that he took off of somebody with it, took it out of his freezer. So he would keep his evidence locker at his house because that's the county didn't have one that he lived in for a game warden. And when he started as a game warden, my grandfather had to buy his ammunition. Like he was that young when he started. So, but there was this guy that was called the 10-speed poacher. And he'd ride through the Everglades at a 10-speed, shoot, come back and grab it and drag it out. Well, they had chased him for years, never found him, knew exactly who it was. He was at my uncle's wedding. They're good friends now. He never caught him. And my dad actually told me, he goes, that's the 10-speed guy your Uncle Tim chased for years, never caught him. Don't you go over and ask him any questions. But but yeah, it was like a kind of a professional understanding between them.
So I have a great story to parlay off of that. But do you have the ability to cut? Like, can I take 1 minute break?
Oh my gosh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I gotta relieve myself.
Yeah,
And
please
then I'll
go.
come back. But I want to tell you something about the Greenville County Sheriff's Office and me on a 3-wheeler.
Please, yes. We'll be right back.
Well, yeah, there you go. I'm coming right back.
So no, you're fine. While he's gone, everybody, just want to remind everyone for the giveaways for last week. Um, We are going to be a little bit behind. The shirts got delayed a little bit. They will be in, I'm hoping, by end of next week. So everything that I'm to be shipping out for you guys will be going out the second I get those shirts. I don't want to send out two packages. I just like to put them all in one nice big package and send them out. The stuff for the clowns that's going to be sent out will be sent out directly from Joe. And the people that won the Espanolas, you're going to have two packages, one from Espanola Cigars and one from me for the shirt that you won as well. So, um, man, last week this has been a really fun show, guys. I don't know about you guys, but I love this. Like he's so fascinating. The the stories that he has, I'm telling you, a little bit more in depth. Check out some of his other interviews. He goes through a lot more in depth. I'm just trying to answer questions that I have not heard him go down. Thank you so much, Paul. I'm just trying to answer questions that I have not heard him go down or have not heard him asked before in previous shows. So I really hope that you guys are enjoying this. It seems like you are. I'm going to try to do this a little bit more, bring in a little bit more people that aren't always in inside the cigar world, but that enjoy cigars that could bring a different kind of approach and aspect to this. So over this next year, I'm going to be really kind of bringing in hopefully a little bit more people outside the industry that have really great stories that are also really, really big cigar people as well. So if you guys are happy with this style of format and me bringing on guests that kind of expound into the industry a little bit more, that are fellow brothers of the leaf, that aren't always a manufacturer, please let me know. And if you don't, and you only want manufacturers, please let me know as well. This show wouldn't exist if you guys didn't support it, and we're not here to watch it. So I'm going to ask that, Paul. Um, so go ahead, Scott. And then before you answer that, just because I want to get to this, how can people get an autographed book from you? Oh, sorry, you didn't have your headphones on. Here I was
I'm
talking.
back. All right.
Okay, no, before you tell your story, we had a question come up from Paul Ferris. How can they get an autographed book from you? He said he would love to
Oh
buy
my
one.
gosh. We need to follow back up on it because what I will do. Sorry, I'm fixing my headphones. What I will do is I'll go get a PO box or 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 a UPS box or something, and I'll have people send it there. I have no problem doing that. I would love to do that. If I'm in your town, I don't give a crap. I'll come out and meet you. I don't care. Hopefully, you don't kill me or string me up. And I show
So
up and I'm like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" They're like, "Oh, these are all the people I put in jail." Yeah, no, I would be more than happy to do that, but I don't want to. Clearly, for obvious reasons, I don't want to send it to my house.
no, oh no, 100%, 100%. So, Paul, what I'll do is you give me your address, Paul.
Yes,
How
do that.
you give me your address, Paul, and I'll send it to your publicist. And then you guys
Whatever.
could work out how he buys the book and does it that
Yeah,
way. Go ahead, and light your
Ryan.
cigar.
Yeah, no, Ryan. I'll work it out with you. That's
Oh,
fine.
okay,
You
okay,
have them
perfect.
send it to you. I'll have you send it to me, and
Okay,
whatever. I'll send it back.
awesome, awesome. So, Paul, send me your address, and we'll get it taken care of. Anybody else looking for books as well? Please go on Amazon, buy the book. And if you're looking for a signed copy, Scott only charges like $500 for a signed copy. So
Here, I know, right? I know. Yeah. So now I got to put you on the payroll, right? I got to put you on the
Hey, I've
yeah.
been in sales 25 years. You want to
I'm
sell
like
some
my man
books? Go
Ryan.
get some
Let me tell
books.
you, we're gonna come out with a pale horse cigar. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're good to go.
Hey, if you want to do that, I can put you in contact with somebody that make that happen for you.
Here's what I'll tell you, and I didn't say this yet in the podcast, but you have to understand. I have smoked cigars on and off for a long time. In the book, I reference a guy named Trucker Paul. That is a very good friend of mine. I helped certify him as an undercover. He's retired now as well. That dude is a freaking cigar connoisseur, and he has really gotten me into the game of cigars. So, all due respect to Trucker Paul, who cooks the best jambalaya out of anybody I've ever had in my entire life. I've been to New Orleans so many times. I've hit every restaurant. I've tried every kind of jambalaya they got. Nobody comes close to Trucker Paul.
Well, if you ever want to get into the realm of becoming a cigar guy, let me know. I've got plenty of contacts in the industry to get you your own personal cigar made, even if you only
I'm gonna,
wanted a few bundles.
hey, I'm gonna have to bring in Trucker Paul to make
Oh
sure it
yeah,
tastes right.
oh yeah, absolutely. Bring in everybody you want, my friend. Bring in everybody you want. Now,
Trucker Paul and Dutch. Trucker Paul and Dutch, and Coop. Trucker Paul, Dutch, and Coop. We've stood outside of many hotels in the wee hours of the night smoking cigars. So yes.
well, dude, if you ever come through Colorado, you better hit me up because I want to take you to a lounge, and I would love to meet you in person.
And you can school me, but I don't know if you know this. I got married in Estes Park.
No shit. Okay, so I'm about 3 hours south of Estes.
I looked it up.
See, I told you guys he had a dossier already on me. I told you at the
Yeah,
beginning of the show.
not a dossier. Those are fake.
No, I know. I'm just kidding.
Those are fake news. No, we had a lot of former FBI people that aren't in the FBI anymore, and what they did was wrong. And I'm not trying to coach you on being left or right, but I will tell you that what they did was wrong. And how do I know it? Because we all had to take mandatory training of what not to do in an investigation because of what they did.
Oof.
But I will follow it up with this. If you were a legit case agent and you worked cases, you knew you couldn't do it anyway.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, for sure, for sure. But seriously, you
But yeah,
ever
I got married in Estes Park at the Stanley Hotel.
okay, okay. Room
I know it's
1408?
I know it's I know no I know it's famous for The Shining and stuff,
Yeah.
but it's also where Dumb and Dumber did a lot of filming, and that is
Yes.
my hometown.
Yes.
I love Dumb and
Yes.
Dumber.
Absolutely. Yes. Dumb and Dumber was up in Estes and Breckenridge.
Yes,
Even though not
uh,
a single scene was filmed in
Aspen,
Aspen at all.
where the
Uh,
sun shines year round and the women are in bikinis, whatever the hell the
right?
line was, yeah.
Well, what was it? My wife and I took our honeymoon in Breckenridge. We're like, oh, we're going to go to Aspen the next day. Let's watch Dumb and Dumber. Let's see how much Aspen's changed. Well, as we're watching Dumb and Dumber, I'm like, oh, that's the shirt off my back store here. That's the this is Breckenridge. They're pulling up
Mhm.
into Breckenridge. Like, there's no fair. And, I'm getting on it. It's filmed in Estes and
Remember,
Park City.
remember the end of the movie? Race you to the top. That's where the procession. Those are the stairs the procession came down. Yeah.
So I want to get back to your story about the sheriff's department.
Yes, sir. Remind me. What were we talking about?
When I told you my uncle had the 10 speed guy that he
Oh,
became friends with.
yeah. I don't even know. I don't think this was in the book. If it is, I forget. So I become a Greenville County deputy, and I am uniform patrol, and I'm working third shift, and I'm with a guy named John. I won't say his last name because I don't know if he wants me to say it. He was a two striper. I was a one striper, and he's one night we're sitting there, and he goes, "Man, let me tell you about this guy I used to chase." He goes, these kids would take this three-wheeler and they would go through neighborhoods and they would wreak havoc. I mean, they would drag trash cans, smash mailboxes, 50 plus miles an hour, let the trash can go, whatever it did, it did. And he goes, and I never could catch them. And he goes, and one day I figured out there are woods running from those neighborhoods behind all the schools back to this side of town. And he goes, I bet you they're taking trails in those woods to get away from us and hide. And he said, and one night I set up because we were sitting there. We were sitting by Eastside High School. And he goes, I sat here. I knew they were coming because we knew they'd already done damage. And he goes, I sat here for hours. And he goes, nobody ever showed up. And because of my honesty and my transparency, I looked at him and I said, John, and he said, yeah. And I go, that was me. And he says, are you shitting me? And I go, nope. I go, that was me and my friends. I'm the one with the three-wheeler. I said, I had an MO. I said, every 3 weeks. And he goes, it was every 3 weeks. I go, I would go out and we would go through the midnight hours and wreak havoc and tear stuff. We were bored. We would just smash stuff, destroy stuff. And I said, I knew those wood trails so good in the middle of the night and pitch black, I could drive them with no headlights on. And I said, I was coming to the woods to the end to shoot to my neighborhood, and I saw a car pull up, and I could see it was a cop's car. I said, I killed my engine, killed my lights, and I outweighted you. I didn't know it was you. I said, but I was willing to stay till the sun came up. I didn't give a shit. I wasn't coming out of them woods. And he looked at me and he goes, you know, they were only administratively closed, which means I could open them again and charge you. And I go, I'm being honest, man. It was me. So yeah,
Oh, that's too funny.
that was an insane story. I was like, he goes, it was a yellow Yamaha Go, a 225 with on and off road tires on the back. I said, yeah, we changed the back tires out when I got to the residential neighborhood. I remember, I think I told this one I don't know if I told this one in the book or not, but I'm riding. It's not a street legal vehicle by any means. It's just a headlight. I don't even know how to brake light. It's a three wheeler.
Yeah, super
And
dangerous.
I got pulled over by Greenville County before. Well, I'm in high school. And well before I became a Greenville County deputy. I get pulled over in front of the high school on the sidewalk. So everybody's looking. Like little blue lights. Where am I going to pull over? I'm already on the sidewalk. He says, son, do you know why I pulled you over? And I said, no, sir. I said, I thought it was, I mean, I know it's not street legal. I thought I could ride on the sidewalk. He said, not at 65 miles an hour, you can't.
So sidewalks have speed limits?
Who knew? I was like, here's me. I'm like, no speedometer. I'm like, I was doing 65? I'm like, that's awesome. I mean, no, sir, that's not awesome at all. I apologize. Not bad.
So
But yeah, that was a very surreal moment. I'm sitting here listening to this story, middle of the night. We're tired, trying to stay awake, no calls, nothing going on. He's like, there was these kids on this yellow three-wheeler, and they destroyed neighborhoods. And I'm like, oh, that sounds familiar.
So I want to touch a little bit on your retirement here to kind of close the show up a little bit. Obviously, Scott, you've taken on a lot of personas in your career. You've taken on a lot of different identities as far as backstories and so how has your retirement been for rediscovering Scott?
I thought I had a game plan. I thought I really had I thought had a really good game plan because, as I told you, we're number one in all these bad things. I'm gonna tell you what. The cutoff age of the FBI is 57, and I thought I was going to work till I was 57, and then it would be a mandatory retirement. But if you have a specialty and they need you in that division, they can put in a request to extend you. And I've seen people extended 2, maybe 3 years, and that's what I thought I'd do. I thought I'd make it to 57, and then I would just extend maybe by being the undercover coordinator for the state of Tennessee or something like that. But after the base case, COVID hit. I mean, COVID was already here. We took the case down in January of 2020, which is COVID year, but COVID was here in like November of 2019. They just weren't calling it that. You got the A and B flu. What the hell is that? So the federal government shut down. They would not let us work. I mean, it was insane. And there are people in all parts of the country probably listen to this, and it wasn't insane to you, but it was insane in Tennessee. And I'm like telling my managers and my bosses, I'm like, look, the task force up in whatever county, they're working and they want to, and the bad guys aren't taking off because of COVID. I'm going to go up there and work with them. Well, you can't. Look, I'm not coming in the office. We're just going to, nope, you're not allowed to work. DOJ, the rules. And I'm like, this is absolutely insane. But what it did is it gave me a picture of what retirement might be like. I was forced to stay at home and not work. What it also forced me to do is start letting go of some of my collateral duties. It's like, oh, we got this fire you got to put out. No, I don't. We can't even work right now.
Yeah.
So it gave me an idea of what retirement might look like. And I realized I might be able to stay at home for 1 week, not doing nothing. But my personality and the way my DNA, there's no way I can stay here for 2 weeks and not do something. But it kind of gave me a picture of what things might look like. Then, if you factor in the fact that where I was at is a smaller office and it's hard to get to, and generally the people that show up have already done 18 to 20 years in their career, and now they outrank everybody and they get to come to this place. They were all getting ready to retire. So I said, "Hey, man, it's not my bailiwick. Do you mind crunching my numbers? Would you let me know roughly what I'm going to make in my pension and how much money I need to take out of my thrift savings, which is our 401k kind of for retirement, to make exactly what I'm making right now and sit at home doing nothing?" And once the numbers were crunched, Ryan, I was like, "Holy shit, I can retire at 50." I wasn't planning on it, but after the base case, we're down in Phoenix, Arizona, putting on training. I don't remember the discussion. I know it was my birthday. Um, and I remember sitting at a place at a bar restaurant, and something hit me that said, I'm satisfied with my career. Now, they always say in my profession, these people I know, you'll know when it's time. And it's not that I was saying, I've done everything I can do. I'm the be all end all. No, but it's like, I'm literally going to start from scratch when I go back to the office. I'm going to try to build another team. We're going to try to build another case. But I'm very happy with what I've done in my history in law enforcement. And that's the first time I've ever said that to myself. And I was like, holy crap,
It kind
I
of
think I'm
felt
ready to
achieved.
retire.
Yeah.
Not to mention that the base case, I was literally 48 at the time. I lied and got an alias that said I was 44. It's the first time ever in my history in law enforcement that I made myself younger. And I'm like, what am I? If I'm going to be 50 something years old, how do I infiltrate a young group of neo Nazis? I don't, unless I'm a pedophile or I'm the leader. And I'm like, maybe there's some old dudes doing bad. This it just started all adding up, and I started looking at avenues, and I thought I had a plan. It worked. I thought it was working pretty good, but at about a year and a half after retirement, I had to really look at myself as a person, as a husband, as a father, as a Christ follower, and say, look, I've got to change my way of thinking. I'm having outbursts. I'm not. I'm not. I don't feel like I'm in control of my own emotions anymore. I've got to change the way I think. I'm not on the front line. I'm not kicking in doors. I'm not. So maybe I need to go do some fight training. Maybe I need to go to Krav Maga, BJJ, and get my butt handed to me. And then when I leave and I drive home, I'm very calm. On the way to the gym, I might be blowing people off the road, going, get out of my way. But after a great workout or having my butt handed to me all day, I'm driving back in the slow lane, going, bless their heart. They're in a hurry. Go ahead. I'm gonna roll down the window. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. I might e I might even put my hazard lights on for you. God bless you. You're angry. I get it. I don't know what you're doing. Maybe you got to poop. I don't know. Maybe somebody's in the hospital. I'm not sure. And that's what I started doing. And the outbursts stopped happening. There were some hairy moments there with my marriage, and even one night I went down a deep dark hole and I thought bad things. And that's not the way I think. I'm an optimist. I'm a glasses half full guy. But there was one night in this actual barn one night, and I went down a deep dark hole, and much like other times in my life, I had to figure out how in the hell did that happen, and that's never going to happen again. And that's what you do. That's what I did. But I will say, if you are in a full contact sport, whether you're NFL, an MMA fighter, or whatever, and all of a sudden you got to cut that off, how do you do that and survive? So the answer to your question, a very long answer is I did it not as good as I planned on, but I think I'm doing okay now because I found things to fill that void. Me meeting people I don't know, me still connecting with people, me teaching, me speaking, and me learning. That's the big thing. Every time I'll say I because I'm a part of an organization or whatever. But when we put on training, I learn something every time. It's as crazy as you can think. 28 years in law enforcement, however many plus years of putting on training, and you think, I've seen it all. No, you can't think that. I'll watch somebody making room entry and I go, the hell was that? I've never seen that before. And then we're like, well, let's play this out. Let's see how this works. And you try to work it out. It's just, again, it goes back to iron sharpening iron.
Well, it totally makes sense. You were such a high adrenaline job than to go back to nothing.
Stupid lighter. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a new lighter, Scott. You know
I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you because you said I see all these things coming in, but I'm not reading them. Do we want to answer any questions from these people?
so far they've seems like they've been just in tuned with your stories.
Okay, I'm just asking
Does
because I'll
anybody
do
have
whatever.
anybody have any questions they want to ask? Scott, I'm just getting a lot of comments of like, this is a great story, great show, great storyteller. So it seems like they're just enthralled.
I
They're
saw
just
one that said
enthralled.
God was with you, and I said absolutely
Yeah, no, for sure on that one.
the entire time, and still is.
Yeah, absolutely. See, like a great show, love it, super questions. So a lot of people are enjoying kind of what we're talking about here. So um uh,
I got an idea.
yeah.
A Trucker Paul cigar.
Ooh.
Listen, I can boost him. I can say all kinds of stuff. He's not going to want me to say it, but I'm telling you, the dude is a cigar connoisseur. And
I can
there's been many a nights at training where he says, what hotel you at? And he rolls up in the parking lot and he drops the tailgate on his truck, and we got lawn chairs, and it's a couple of rednecks sitting in the parking lot smoking cigars and drinking whiskey on the tailgate of a truck. And cops even pull up. What's going on, guys? We're like, hey man, how's it going? And we just start shooting pull with them.
well, I tell you what, you want to make that happen, you let me know. I can put you in contact with a lot of people I know that would be more than willing to either let you make a few bundles for yourself or do something, whatever you want to do. And I tell you what, now you're gonna have to start going to these cigar shows because
Listen, I'll do it. I'll do it. Here's the thing. I may not be able to sell a lot on I may not be able to sell Trucker Paul on a lot about talking about himself, but I bet you I can get him to come out with his own cigar line.
well, I certainly could. We'll take that offline. I could put you in contact with a few people, and I tell you what, you should start going to these cigar events, man. The Great Smoke in Florida. It's a 4-day cigar event where you just smoke and drink way too much. It goes from Thursday to Sunday, and it's incredible.
That's a lot of days.
Yeah, right?
I'm not
It's like a jam band.
my tolerance is not where it used to be, nor do I want it to be where it used to be. Because as you age, I'm like, that just cannot be good. This cannot be good for me or my family or anything else. But yeah, yeah.
We've got some questions coming in for you. Is the
Come on
outlaw
in.
thing behind you from the case? What I think is what I think he might be asking is, are you scared at all of ramifications from retaliation with the outlaws?
If I say no, that may challenge some of them or somebody trying to make a name for themselves to come. Um, no, it's part of the business, and I got to be careful because you don't want to come off as cocky, and I'm not.
Sure,
It's just
sure.
that here's what I'll tell you. I won't even say it because it may give a bad guy some ammo. But here's what I'm saying: if you want to come talk to me any given day of the week, roll up and we can have a good conversation and laugh, or we can talk and maybe you show up at church and I need to hug you and pray over you.
Now, has
And
that ever happened?
I'm not trying. Yeah. I'm not trying to do the whole. I love Kid Rock, but I'm not trying to say here I am on Joe Rogan telling you about Jesus while I'm smoking a cigar and drinking a Bud Light. But I'm telling you, I'm here, and if there's anything I can do to help you, you give me a shout.
Have you ever have you ever been approached by somebody in a that you've had to take down that it was cordial?
Absolutely.
Really?
Or maybe I approach them. Remember, as uniform cop, you're locking people up in your county all the time. You show up to the grocery store and there's the person, or you show up to a restaurant and they're like Officer Payne, and you're like, hey, you're a cook. This is awesome. I'm not hungry. No, I just came here with the family. I mean, that's not my family. Matter of fact, I was full when I got here. I hope you're doing well. I'm gonna eat somewhere else, just in case. No, I don't care, man. We're all human beings. Look, something happened. I don't know why it happened for you. Not all the time, but let's do the right thing. I mean, I can't be a part of criminal activity. I can't be a part of your conspiracy. But if you are not breaking the law, come talk to me. If you're breaking the, I don't care. Like I told you earlier, I've got friends who were meth dealers,
Oh, here you
and
go,
they
Scott.
admitted it to me once they got, once they knew who I was and they trusted me enough, they told me, man, I was a meth dealer. I'm a meth addict and I'm recovering. What can I do for you? And that was the wrestling thing. That's how I got back into wrestling in Tennessee. I'd
Wow.
already walked away from it. I didn't have any contacts that I thought. And I'm like, you know what, man? I bought all the tickets for the wrestling event that night. They didn't have to pay for it. I didn't make a boatload of money, but I did it because it's the right thing to do. And we went, and then I went, and next thing you know, the next event, we're backstage. I'm watching this kid's son. I'm watching this guy's son look at his dad and say, dreams really do happen.
Mm.
And if he watches this, and I'll send it to him, he's still a great friend. He'll tear up and cry about it, and so will I. Because he looked at me and he says, you got to be kidding me, man. Look at what I've done in my life. And we're here on the front row at a WWE event. And we were backstage, and my kid got to meet his eye. It's just about paying it forward, man. Look, I will tell you in the industry, I'll say in the industry, like I'm in entertainment or something. But in my world, in the special forces world, you see the same thing. You come out and you talk, and there's people that are like, I can't believe you shared this. Okay, man, I get it. If we're giving away a bunch of stuff and I'm putting somebody in danger, I get that. But we can always argue about nuances. But did Jocko coming out bring more people to better lifestyles and wanting to be a Navy SEAL?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe I saw something that made me want to be a narcotics officer. It's just pay it forward. And it's
Yeah.
so hard sometimes for people in our community, I'll say my community, to say congratulations. And let me explain it to you like this. I have people that I really don't like. I start with a clean slate every time I meet them, but in 3 minutes, they remind me why I didn't like them in the first place. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I didn't come in with a grudge, but dadgum, now I remember, but I try to start with a clean slate. But to say congratulations, like you get an award, and it's not common for undercovers to get an award. But my case team was a good case team. And they did the right thing. And when they put themselves in for awards or they got awards, they put me in for an award. And you say, man, look at this award. And you have somebody that says, yeah, I found out why you got that award. It's because the person on your case team was on the board of the award committee. I'm like, here's what I'll tell you. Let's go SWAT.
Jealousy. Envy.
Well, I'm not even going to say that because they did great things in their career. But what I'll say is this. I'm on SWAT and you're an operator. I may love you like a brother. You may be the godparent of my children. But if you're not tactically sound, I don't want you going on the entry with me. And I
Yeah.
may not like you at all. Like, I don't even want to spend time with you outside of the job, much less in the job. But you're tactically sound, then I want you going on the entry. It's not subjective, it's objective. And it's just, it's saddening to see people just be like, oh, it's okay. You do you. And as long as you can look at yourself in the mirror and you're a good husband, father, person, you do you. I can't, I'm only doing what I feel that I'm called to do. That's it.
Oh well, and clearly you've done things the right way the majority of the time. Um, s-
Opinions
a-
vary.
and in fact, Scott here, Paul says, I needed your words tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that's awesome. You have been through some very dark corners of this country. And potentially the world. I'm not going to get into your travels and in what you've done and where you've been. Um, but I think you would agree with me that you've been to some really dark places across the world and in this country. Now that you're retired, where are you looking forward to as Scott Payne to traveling if you are able to travel or want to travel?
I'm traveling all over the place right now.
Yeah,
By
but
the
you're
way,
traveling for the
y-
book. Where do you and your wife? You
well,
want to go
yeah,
to
okay, okay.
Paris? You want to
I'm like,
go?
you're the fifth and last interview of the day, and
Oh
I'm
wow,
like,
okay.
I told the publicist, I'm like, I love you, man. You are killing it, but dadgum, five. I'm like, I don't even know if I said this already in an interview. Traveling, it's not a lot of that. It's just, it's not that I want to be somewhere else or go places. It's just that I want to keep connecting. If I have some knowledge to share, I want to share it. If I made mistakes, which I made plenty, if you can learn from that and not make those same mistakes, that's what we're supposed to do. It kills me to see law enforcement, maybe a smaller department or an undercover operation, and things go awry. The same thing that went wrong in 1982. And you're like, why? It usually comes down to a lack of training, and the budget does not afford training. The first thing to go when the budgets are starting getting cut is training. But there are trainings out there that are free because they're government sponsored or grant sponsored, and there's some that your department has a line item to pay for that for. Here's what I'll tell you: I've got great friends. I've got former great friends. They don't like me anymore. I don't talk to them anymore, but they put on great trainings. You need to go out. If you're an undercover, please go get training and don't just stop at one school. You need the reps. Go learn as much as you can, be the best, well rounded law enforcement officer you can be, and try to do good. You do the right, again, you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Is that what we want to do all the time, Ryan? Absolutely not. I would much rather, on many occasions, throat punch somebody than to do the right thing. I'm not saying I'm a tough dude. I'm just saying that, like, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to help you. I can't stand it. It goes against everything I'm feeling right now. But as a Christ follower and as somebody who's trying to do the right thing, I'm going to pay it forward. Even though I want to bite my lip doing it, it's just you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And for the law enforcement officers out there, don't tarnish the badge. All it takes is one, two, three people that did something really bad that made national news, whether the original news was wrong or right. When the real news comes out 6 months later, nobody remembers that. It's
Nope,
on page 60. Nobody knows.
nobody.
And it's
Sensation.
our profession, and I'm speaking for my brothers and sisters in blue, is a very tough, or first responders all across the board. Because now in alert, we're doing cross trainings. We're with fire. We're with medic. And that's when I learned that firemen are wearing bulletproof vests to go to a fire call. And I'm like, why? And they're like, and I'm an idiot. I didn't know. They're like, because we're being ambushed. I'm like, people are faking a fire to shoot you when you arrive to help them? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, what in the HE double sticks is going on, man? So it's hate
So
begets hate. Far left does something evil to the far right retaliates to the far left comes back. If you're far left extremist, I'm probably going to tell you you're an idiot. And I don't mean to offend you, but if I do, oh well. If you're far right extremist, I know you're an idiot because I've been there. we Let's come together. And this is what I say a lot of times, Ryan. It's okay for you to like something I don't. It's okay for me to like something you don't. We can still get along, buddy. Ryan, do you like to breathe?
sometimes.
Yeah, I love oxygen.
Of
Do you
course,
like to
yes.
eat? Do you like to eat?
Should I
Me
stand up?
too. Let's start there. You may say you like onions, and I'll be like, I don't, but let's keep going.
So that brings up a really good point. It seems like you always try to start from common ground versus the disbelief that maybe you guys both have. Like, okay, we might not line up here, but let's like, what do you like to eat? What do you like to drink? What do you like to what do you like to read? Like, let's find some common ground before
Here-
we start disagreeing.
Here's what I'll say in the studies that I've seen and done, even way back in not way outside of America, there's tribes. One puts a disc in their lips, one puts a disc in their ears. They don't like each other because they look different. Let's just break it down. I think prejudice is everywhere. Racism,
Yes.
not so much. It gets thrown around a lot. If you disagree these days or in the last several years. If you disagree, you're racist, you're misogynist, you're sexist, and it's like, come on, man.
I
You
think
know?
prejudice and racism are often confused as the same word.
Oh, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
that's just absolute prejudice is I see a group of guys walking across the street, I'm a girl, I'm going to cross the street versus walking through them. It's got nothing to do with color. It's got everything to do with the fact that maybe that group of guys isn't going to be safe for you. Like that's prejudice. That's not
Some of the funny,
racism.
some of the funniest things I've seen. Let's just go back to Seattle. The front lines for Black Lives Matter, not the belief, the movement, right? The bad side. The let's break up the family. I'm not saying that. We all bleed red. I like that, man. I like that. Unless you're a Trekkie and you bleed blue, but that's cool. I love you too. You know. But I'm saying, you look and it's the white blonde female on the front line screaming at the black officer about how he doesn't understand to be black, and you're like, let me just hold up a mirror. That's all I want to
Yeah,
do. I'm gonna
yeah.
be like, you say that to yourself. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah.
That's all.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't understand at all. So, but let's just be human, treat people with respect. Like I used to have road rage so bad. I I knew I had road rage, but I didn't realize how bad I had it because I found out from my close friends who I just talked to the other week, actually. Um, when I made the FBI and I was going to New York City, my buddy was sincerely concerned for me with my road rage. And I thought he had road rage, but he was scared to ride with me. In my defense, in South Carolina, on I-26, the drivers are absolutely atrocious. Two cars side by side at 54 miles an hour for 20 damn miles, and you're like, "What are you?" And then when it's time for their exit, they speed up and get over, and you're like, "You're killing me. You're killing me." But New York City cured me. I was getting mad. I got to New York City, and I'm like, somebody tries to cut me off, and I'm like, let me tell you something. And I'm doing my whole road rage. I will hang out this window. I will punch you. I will do it. And now I'm stuck next to him for 3 more hours. And the longer I'm stuck next to him, I don't want to look because I know I just showed my tail. And the longer we sit, the smaller I feel. And I'm getting smaller and smaller. And I look over and go, sorry, I'm not from here. It's my bad, you know. Going into the Lincoln Tunnel, 8 or 6 lanes. There's no rhyme or reason. It just dumps into one lane. It's not like, hey, you're merging. No, it's a bottleneck. Boom. And I am with 3 new FBI agents. We're all carpooling, and I am literally hanging out the window trying to wedge my way in, and I am pointing and I'm screaming very foul things, and I'm not proud of it. I didn't know any better. And I'm like, if you hit this car, I will come in that van and blah, blah. It's just stupid stuff. I'm lucky the guy didn't pull out a gun and shoot me. And the guy looks at me and he's not from America. And he's like, it is 1 for 1. And I'm like, what? And he goes, it is 1 for 1. I go, you go, you go, I go. If you're this far in front of me, you go. And I'm still hanging out the window. And I lean and I go, my bad. I did not know because in South Carolina, I never learned how to merge. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. And thank you for not killing me. It's just, I get it. Day to day stuff happens. We get wrapped in our own mind. But if you can take a step back and just think from a bigger picture, let's do the right thing, man. If you just think about good versus evil, when you break down all these arguments and you say this side versus this side, what about this? What about this? Oh, I hate you. If you break it down into good and evil, generally speaking, humans know the difference between good and evil. There are terms for those who can't tell the difference and they've done bad things. But just do the good thing. I don't, and if you can break that stigmatism down and the hate and the vitriol and the yelling and the fighting and, oh, I'll take you out. Okay. Here's what I'll tell you. there's always somebody bigger. There's always somebody badder. There's always somebody stronger. If you think the day you think you're the best, you are completely wrong, and you're probably going to get your butt handed to you. So just be nice.
Well, I tell you, I couldn't close the show on anything better than that, man. Like that was awesome. And I know you've had a long day on shows and interviews and people ask you questions. So here to close out the show.
Ask me. I don't care.
Okay, well, shit.
I am
We'll
yours.
go for it. Fantastic. So
I think
I
my
don't.
family's already left. I don't even know where they're at.
I
I'm
don't
just.
think anybody cares if we go a little bit long at all.
I ain't
So
even had dinner. Who knows, man?
so what what is your favorite drink? I saw you had a bottle what looked like Jack Daniels.
That's my go-to.
That's your go-to is Jack Daniels. Are
Oh,
you
number
whiskey?
seven. No, I'm a whiskey guy. I love them all, but I will tell you this: I got sick on Jim Beam in high school, and it never left me.
Mm,
Every Jim Beam I've ever had, it's a great brand. I'm not knocking Jim Beam, but no matter if it's black, red, what I don't know, all the ones devil, I don't know what they are. It all has the same aftertaste. I can't do it. I like for bourbons. I don't know why. I always go back to Woodford Reserve.
you can't go
They're
wrong.
well. I'm just saying. It may say something about me at my retirement party, but I ended up with like 35 bottles of whiskeys and bourbons, and some of them were very high dollar. Kind of makes you look back on your life and you go,
This is what people think of me.
you like I got a boatload of whiskeys and bourbons. And by the way, the first 2 months of retirement was pretty much a party every night. But I will say that some of the most expensive ones, I'm like, I don't like it.
So to your
I will say it's Terry Bradshaw. There's not a lot of it out there. Not the rye, the regular bourbon. I think it's like a 103.5. It burns. It's got a bite. Oh, that's a nice one to sip on. But I go back to Woodford Reserve on bourbons. I've tried a bunch. I like Bullet, Buffalo
Scotch.
Trace, Blanton's. So I got a weird food allergy that kind of got me off of certain things. I've got a Scotch whiskey. I'm sure I can have it. I just got to look it up. But if I'm going to be out all night, old number seven, Jack Black, I know where I'm at all night.
Are you a
Um,
mixer or straight on the rocks?
a lot of times I'm on the rocks tonight. If I can, here's the thing. I'm telling a lot about myself. The food allergy is fructose. So if you go to a bar and they shoot out of a gun and they shoot Coke with high fructose corn syrup, and then they shoot Diet Coke or Coke Zero, it's enough to get me. So a lot of times I just
Okay.
do on the rocks, or I bring my own Coke. If I'm going to be going all night for a long time, I like to have it with a Coke. It's very nice to me. But I do love a straight. Um, Gentleman Jack's great. If you can find the Sinatra blend, woof, the double barrel's nice, single barrel's nice.
Now,
But yeah,
are you I'll smoke anything cigar wise? Or are you a brand specific person? Do you try anything? How do you pick cigars?
I try a lot, but I stick with the darker. Was that Maduro? I
Yeah.
stick with the dark. The lighter ones, I don't seem to like too much. I like that dark flavor, much like if I've been drinking Jack all night back in the day, I'd switch to a Guinness. It's a dark, thick beer. Nothing I'd want to drink all night, but yeah, I like that darker, more aroma
So do you
flavor.
like pepperiness in your cigar? Because the cigar you're
Mm,
smoking now has got a little bit. So you don't retrohale. Do you blow it through your nose?
boy, you are schooling me right now. No, I do not.
Okay.
I will try it now.
Well, so the easiest way to blow it through your nose, don't inhale. Put a little bit of pressure out of your mouth. Put your tongue at the top of your roof, and then just go blow it out. It's gonna hit you. If you could do it that first time, it's gonna hurt.
I've been hurt a lot.
But yeah, if
I
you
just
can,
don't want to inhale. I did that.
no,
I
yeah,
did
no,
that.
you'll
I
turn
was on an
green.
undercover third shift straight for a year. It's a classified case I don't talk a lot about, but I was a security guard working third shift, and I was smoking cigars. And one night I got a little lax and I inhaled, brother. Let me tell you,
You'll go green. You'll
oh,
go
dude,
green.
three shades of green,
Oh
and
yeah.
and I couldn't touch a cigar for about a year. So I love the flavor and yeah, I mean, I have friends who are the co-owners. I mean, I'm sorry, they are co-owners of CPI Stem Cells. Not trying to plug them, but I will. They are officially partnered with the UFC. Their facility is in Tijuana, Mexico. It is a state-of-the-art facility. After 13 plus major surgeries and almost dying after a hip replacement, I said, okay, let me try something different. And I went down the week before Thanksgiving and I'm going back at the end of this month for the follow up, the FDA study to see what all's going on. But when you get stem cells, you can't drink or smoke, inhale smoke for 3 months. They don't want you to because you've got stem cells going through your body and it's looking for what's hurting. So if you drink, your liver has to work harder, not necessarily you're killing yourself for one night of drinking, but all those stem cells will go to your liver. So what I did is I went out, smoked half a cigar every night, and then I went to bed. And yeah, so
Well, I tell you what,
I'll have another 3 months of that
I tell you
starting
what,
next month.
after this show, I want to get an address that I can send. So I'm going to send you a 5-pack of some of my. I'm a full body, dark, heavy pepper. But if you don't retrohale, you're not going to get the pepper. You'll just taste it more, the spiciness in your mouth.
So you're saying this is pepper? Is this number 9 a
So
pepper?
the Liga number nine's got a little bit of pepper because if I remember correctly, the Liga number nine's a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper. That should have a little bit of a pepperiness, a little bit of a spiciness on your mouth. But if you were to actually put it through your nose, that's where you taste the pepper, quote unquote, taste the pepper. That's where you feel the spice of a cigar.
I just
Um,
want you to know that my buddy Trucker Paul, who I've mentioned several times, is going to chew my butt out for not knowing this.
Oh, don't worry about it. We won't tell him. Nobody tell Trucker Bob. But no,
What?
like so you have 39 olfactory glands in your nose, and it's just like food or wine. You eat first with your eyes, you eat secondly with your nose, and then you taste with
Yeah,
your mouth. So when
yeah,
you
the
blow
whole
it through your when you retro,
this that kind of thing. Yeah, I
yeah,
got it.
when you retro and blow it through your nose, you're getting all of that flavor profile. And the more you retro a cigar, the more you will actually understand the difference between spicy and non-spicy. And in fact, retroing a cigar is what in my opinion, really allows you to feel what the strength of that cigar is.
And tell me again. I know I'm losing all your listeners now because they're
No,
like, "This
no,
dude's a
no, you're not
fake."
at all.
No,
Not at
no, no, I'm
all.
just kidding. I'm a fugazi. You know, we just watched Donnie Brasco last night because my wife's friend's in town and she's never seen it, and I was blessed enough to have Joe Pistone, like I said, put a blurb on the book, and yeah. So how do I do the
So
not inhale and blow it through my nose? I'm still
yeah,
trying to
so
figure
what
that
you
out.
do is you pull a little bit in. So relieve a little pressure in your mouth, blow a little bit out of your mouth, take your tongue, put it to the top of your palate, and blow through your nose. You like push it through your nose.
There it goes.
Yeah, you'll feel that. Yeah, there you go. You feel it. So the more you do that, it's actually giving you a much more complex flavor profile of that cigar and depth of understanding of what the cigar was supposed to be tasting like.
As I fall out of my chair. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
no, no, and, yeah, don't do it much. I actually did it. I got my buddy to do it one time,
I'm
and
on the
we were
ground going, I'm good.
right.
I'm
Well,
good.
I got my buddy to do it with a Diesel one time with Diesel cigar, which is made by AJ Fernandez, a super peppery cigar, and he about hit the floor.
Hey,
He's
by the
like,
way,
woof.
have you have you had the Hetfield cigar? It's the James from
Yes, yeah,
Metallica.
yeah. The blackened, the
Yes,
M81,
blackened.
yeah, the M81.
That was a good cigar. I
That it,
like it.
and he actually smokes that on stage. That's by Drew Estate, who makes your cigar you're smoking right now.
It makes sense. I
Yeah,
like it. And sometimes I like the thinner cigar because I can just do the
mhm,
punch, not
mhm.
just chop it off. But yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, so Drew Estate actually only made flavored cigars until Steve Saka. Steve Saka, who now owns Dunbarton, Acid's the number one selling cigar in the world. They make something like 100,000 or a month or something like that. Like it's the number one selling cigar in the world, and when Steve came on, he's not a fan of flavored cigars, so he said, "I'll only come on if you allow me to make a non-flavored." That started the legal line, and then from there, it's just grown and expanded. Now, Drew Estate is owned by Swisher Sweets. If you remember the gas station cigars,
Yeah, I
so
definitely know that one.
so Swisher bought Drew Estate in 2014.
That is awesome, and I didn't know that. I will say this about flavored cigars. I was in Nebraska with my wife, and we were at a nice hotel in Nebraska, and I saw that they had a cigar shop, and I went. I didn't recognize any of the brands, and they're like, "Oh, these are some of our most famous ones." So I bought them. I spent a decent amount of money on like 5 cigars. They were all sugar coated. Every time I put them in my mouth, I was like,
Yep.
I don't, I don't, I don't want syrup. And I'm like, it's kind of like when I was younger drinking coffee. I put like 5 Splendas. I wanted the milk. I wanted the vanilla. I wanted now. I just drink coffee black. I don't. So I was very upset that all of those. Even when I got back to Tennessee, I'm like, these are terrible. I mean, I don't know if they're terrible because they all taste like sugar. I don't know. I'm like, that's not what I want.
Are you a pipe guy at all?
No, I stopped crack a long time
I
ago.
was wondering if you were going to say that.
No, I'm just kidding. Coming in at 270 pounds, crackhead Scott
You don't
Payne.
look like
Yeah,
a crackhead. You're too filled out.
I just started.
um, so what I want to do for you is when we get off the show, give me an address that I could send. I want to send a 5-pack over. I want to send over a unbelievable blend called Stillwell Star, which is a pipe tobacco blend and cigar blend. Whoever's there with you in the room is going to absolutely love you for smoking it.
So I got cigar blend. What's the pipe tobacco? It's mixing a cigarette with cigar.
No, so there's a company called Cornell and Diehl, who's a sponsor of my show as well. They
Okay.
worked with Steve Saka, and so when you take a cigar, the middle core is pipe tobacco. So whether it's an aromatic, whether it's a burley, a cubed Virginia or whatever, red Virginia or white Virginia, the core of the cigar is pipe tobacco wrapped around cigar tobacco. And it is the best version of a pipe cigar where if you're not a pipe guy, the room is going to smell amazing. If you
Okay.
are a pipe guy, it's exactly what you were looking for in a cigar.
Okay. I had a
Uh,
neighbor that did the pipe, not the crack pipe. Maybe he did at one point. Who knows? And it was so funny is at the time I was still an active undercover, and an active FBI agent and undercover, and he's like, yeah, so I've done some sabbaticals in the woods, and I'm like, a sabbatical in the woods for 2 years, and then I started learning. He starts talking about vegetation and growing. And I go, oh, he's growing weed. but old Sam was he did pottery, and I'm telling you, some of the best gifts I've ever had, and some of the best things we still have in our house. He had a kiln, and he would go out there and make pottery, and he put Slammin' Sammy on the bottom, and he would go out in his backyard, man. He would smoke a pipe, and it was like a cherry flavor. I just love sitting on my screen-in back porch of my other house before we moved into this nice facility we have now. Facility, like I'm in an FBI joint,
Your compound.
I know my compound, yeah. Camp Payne, yeah. He was smoking. I'd be like, I always loved it, man. It was so good, and I knew he was relaxing too, so that was cool.
Yeah, well, I'll send you a couple of those. I'll send you some a Cigar Clowns cigar, a Big Sky cigar. I'll put together a little pack of medium to full, all darker. But work on trying to get that retro down. That first couple times it's tough, and it's gonna catch you back. But I'll put together a nice a nice 5 or a little bit more than that and send it over to you for you to smoke and enjoy.
Ryan, I'm not trying to paint you into a corner here, but you sound a lot like a drug dealer. You're going to give me something for free. It's going to bite, and I'm going to like it, and then I got to come back for more.
Well, I live in Colorado, so you take it for what you want.
Mm. Here's what I'll tell you. I'm retired now. Been there and done that.
Yes, I'm sending him Kristoff.
I will tell you something funny about law enforcement. I can't tell you how many, let's just say thousands of law enforcement officers I know say the day they retire, they're going to go smoke a joint. And you're like, well, yeah, you know.
So then, okay, so you brought up something fun,
Oh,
right?
here we go. Here we
So,
go.
so what is something that, and not saying that you smoked a joint or had edibles or anything along those lines, but was there something?
Before law enforcement did a
Well,
ton.
no.
Yeah.
Before law enforcement was probably fair game, but after law enforcement, is there ever been like that whole like oh my gosh, I actually want to try what pot feels like today, or I would like to eat a gummy, or or I would go to an ayahuasca trip with Joe Rogan in Mexico down at this buddy's compound, like
Ooh,
stuff like that.
so
Like, would you ever do anything along those lines?
sure. Not from a Christian standpoint, but I will say this. I have been coached by many friends that said, hey, if you go with Joe and you do something, just know that it's going to be way stronger than anything you've ever done in your entire life. And I'm like, yeah. No, that's a tough one. Maybe I should plead the fifth,
No, man, you certainly can.
which kind of answers the question.
And
But
you
I'm just
certainly
saying,
can. You certainly can.
the thing is, let me tell you this. In debates in law enforcement, I was always a proponent for legalizing weed. But I grew up on Cheech and Chong weed. It's 5% THC, and you
Yeah.
laugh and you sleep well, and the music sounds great. And a double Whopper with cheese never tasted better. That's not today's weed, man. They got there's like 90% THC. The weed in the 80s was not physically addictive. It's not physically addictive. It's mentally addictive. And today it's physically addictive. So much like everything else in society, food, wheat, everything, we've messed it up. So I get the argument. People like give like God made it grew in the ground, and I'm like, and so did poppy seeds and cocoa leaves. But I'm not doing heroin.
God made sex, and very clearly in the Bible he says don't do it until you're married. So I mean,
I'm like, yeah, man, God made poppy seeds. Let's do heroin. No, no, no,
see,
no.
I've always been a naturalist. If I couldn't grow it, pick it, dry it, smoke it, or eat it, I wouldn't do it.
But you can
Poppy,
grow poppy seeds.
yeah,
You
but
can grow
heroin is
cocoa
processed.
leaves.
In my mind, heroin's processed.
You're right. You're right.
Opium is not, but heroin is.
Yeah, I'm out. I mean, here's what I'll say. Maybe this is a good time to share this. I have great friends who believe that weed is a gateway drug. It leads you to other things. In my experience, in my personal opinion, I will disagree. And this is why. I think that if you find somebody who's an addict, and I'm not saying I've not been addicted to things, you're trying to leave reality.
Mhm.
If you get to the core, from what I've seen, you're trying to escape reality. So if you were looking to get the farthest away from reality, you're going to keep going. But if you're I'm talking 80s kind of thing. If you're a true weed, those are the houses we wanted to go to. It was a very well kept place.
Mhm.
It was everything's like glow in the dark stuff. It was great graphics bongs, but there wasn't like chicken that had been on the floor half eaten for a month.
Yeah, it's a different type of person.
In excess, anything is bad. I don't care what you're doing. Just excess things are bad
So
is what I'm going to try to say. But I will say this: you here's my argument for the people that say it's a gateway drug. It was very rare in my law enforcement history that you could go to a house that only sold weed. It would be
yes,
pills, cocaine,
yes,
heroin, everything else. If crystal meth was the new thing, because shake and bake used to be the thing.
yep,
People are
yep,
doing shake and bake meth in the back of their cars. They're
blowing their
breaking
arms
out.
up.
Dude, I have seen people that I knew from high school that I didn't realize. This is a true story, as they all are. Like I've told something fake, but I'm a Greenville County deputy, and I get called to the ER. And if you got the 72-hour holding period and you were found to be addicted and said that we would take you to, I can't remember the name of the place, man, but it was in Anderson County, South Carolina. It wasn't Ross McNabb, it was something else. But we gave you a ride there in a cop car. So one night we're driving and we're going to this facility, and this is in the AIDS epidemic. And I had no idea. This is when they're like, oh, if you smell it, you'll get it. And they're like, you need to take this guy. And I'm looking at him. He's got open wounds, lesions all over his arms, brown pus, blood, all kinds of green pus. And I'm like, that dude's got full blown AIDS, right? And they're like, no, he's on drugs. And I'm like, well, that looks like full blown AIDS to me. Can I get it? Because we didn't know.
Sure.
And they're like, no, you can't get it. So we put the guy in the backseat of the car, and my two striper who's training me lets me drive, and we're driving. And on the way, we're talking. What do you do? I'm just talking, building rapport. The guy's like, are you a musician? I go, yeah, I'm a musician. I'm a guitar player. I'm a singer, blah, blah, blah. Where'd you play it? I was on East Side High School. I was in a band called Shade of Green. And he goes, Scott? And I'm driving, and I go, yeah. I can't remember if his name was Pete. I think it was JP. He goes, it's me, man. I've been to your house. I spent the night at your house. And I look in the rearview mirror and I go, holy, you know what? And I go, oh my gosh, I did not know that was you. You don't have AIDS? He goes, I went to LA and tried to make it, and I got hooked on meth. This is me. I saw that dude 30 days later. He had 30 pounds put back on him. He looked like a normal human being. And I passed him, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And that's when I learned that the withdrawals were that bad.
Oh,
He
yeah.
didn't have full-blown AIDS. It was just drugs, and his body was trying to get him out of his system. And he was squared away. And it's insane, man. It's insane what they can do to your body. So
No, absolutely. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the only reason why marijuana can be considered a gateway drug, because in my state of Colorado and in a lot of states that sell weed, if you only want weed,
Colorado is the gateway. What are you talking about?
Well, California was first, but we got it written in our state constitution.
I know you do.
We're the only state in the country that does. So like if you only want weed, you could go and get it. Never be offered anything else. I think just kind of what you said, the only reason why it's ever considered a gateway drug, it's I don't have any pot on me, but here I've got something stronger. I've got some meth. Try this, try this, try this. And so in that aspect, I agree with you. That's why I wrote a 20-page paper in college on how I think all drugs should be legal at the federal level and let the states decide.
I did the same thing. I debated it.
I got kicked out of class for it.
Well, here's what I said. I'm like, look, if you take back then, I'm like, the average price for okay, I love it. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna say. Anything in excess is bad. But it was my pastor, who I've already mentioned tonight, says it's a gateway drug, and I get it. And I'm not trying to say anything against that because that's what happened to him. But in my experience, it's just what I've seen. But it is different now. We've messed with it, and
it's more potent, a little bit.
Yes, and if you've been around Colorado, no offense to you, I was out there with my family, and we went to Estes Park. We revisited where we got married. We're showing the girls everything. We're staying in Fort Collins, and we know we got to drive because anybody who's flown to Denver knows that the airport is in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And you have to grab a hotel with all the other thousands of people who are staying there in the middle of nowhere. But we chose to get up early and drive back. We stopped at a McDonald's in Fort Collins, and I'm like, hey, this is my food allergy heydays, and I'm like, hey, I just want a plain oatmeal, and I would like, an eggs, and that's it. And they're like, and this girl serving me in the morning is so effing high, man. She can't even understand that I'm trying to order plain oatmeal. It's a Cheech and Chong movie for sure. And I'm like, no, I just want plain oatmeal. And I'm going to speed it up because we're on a time here. and it was way slower. And she's like, "So you don't want cranberries?" And I go, "No, I can't have the cranberries. I just want." And then she points to the bowl, the cup that it comes in. She goes, "But there's like cranberries on the pitcher." And Ryan, at one point, I'm like, "Look, we got to get on this flight. If you want me to go back there and pour the oatmeal my dadgum self, I'll do it. Get out of my way. I will pay you money. I will give you a tip. You don't tip at McDonald's. I will tip you to let me pour my own oatmeal to get the heck out of here right now." And I got a buddy of mine, and he said, "Man, my brother is not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's not a I don't know his brother. I don't know if it's true or not. But he's like he's not a smart man, and he's at the top of his company right now in Colorado because he shows up not high and on time, and that's how he made it to the top. So there's that balance. And I mean, what are we doing? Look, I was young. I bounced. I drank every night when I bounced. I had one night off a week. We kick everybody out and we drink till the sun comes up. I get it. But at some point, I had to say, this cannot be the rest of my life because it's not
100%.
going to last. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to make it in society. I'm not going to make it as a husband, as a boyfriend, as a father. And you just got to make a choice, man. Life is, in my opinion, life is about choices. And when you make a choice, generally you're giving up something else. So if I'm a pothead in high school and I decide to go into law enforcement, I got to stop. What am I going to do?
Well, that's where
If
you
I
wait
had,
till you're
if I,
retired.
not necessarily, but if I say, "Hey, I smoked a lot of weed last night, and today we have 3 practices a day, and they're running me in the ground, and I'm coughing and I'm huffing, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do this and be a football player." So
See, where I think where
with all the joking aside, it's like, look, man, if you are going to get high and do things that make you comfortable to leave reality, what are we doing? Are you just trying to leave reality and that's where you want to be for the rest of your life? I don't think that is, I don't think, I know that's not a good answer.
no,
So,
I look at, like you said, it's all about moderation, right? How you treat it, how you abuse it. I look at it as if somebody wanted to smoke a joint every night before they went to bed or have a glass or two of whiskey, there's no difference. It's when they go, okay, I'm going to smoke 4 joints tonight. I'm going to have a bottle tonight. That's when it becomes a
you're putting
problem.
me in a trap here because I've had whiskey with you and I'm smoking a cigar,
No,
but
no, no. But my point is that's where it becomes like it's controlling you. If all you think about is getting stoned, like
that's a,
I know a
no,
lot of high end
that is
professionals.
great. If I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
No,
but
no,
here's
you're
the
okay.
thing. Even in high school, everybody's doing steroids. Are you going to do steroids? No. Why? For me, it's because you said everybody's doing steroids. I'm not doing it just because of that.
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, look, life is not easy. There's all kinds of temptations out there, but here's what I will say. Gateway, not gateway. I'm not going to say that, but here's what I'll say. You're opening the door to bad things. As much as I like drinking whiskey, and as much as I like smoking a cigar, you're opening the door to bad things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
And you
easy to abuse.
need to be able to. Am I sitting here trying to preach to people right now going, it's okay for you to do dope? No, absolutely not. You do you. But like you get Christ followers. Well, you turn water into wine. I'm with you. But did everybody get trashed and Jesus is falling over a chair going, I can't believe I'm going to get crucified? No, no. I love humor. I got a dark sense of humor. That's why I'm making a joke out of it right now. But I'm going to tell you, um, you get right with your soul, man. Come on. It's if your family's suffering and you're
100%.
dodging, yeah, just come on, man.
100%.
It's
If
not.
it's consuming your world, there's an issue.
And I've had so many friends that are non-drinkers. and they will go out and they will hang out with people drinking all night long. And they're like, I'm having a blast. And I'm like, God bless you for being able to do that, because I can't. I'm going home. If I'm you right now, I'm like, you guys, I can't even listen to you anymore. But I'm trying to do the right thing. And I think if you are trying to do the right thing, you're coming from a good place, and we're not, we're all broken. Am I making an excuse to do bad things? Absolutely not. None at all. But with my history and what I've done in life, and let me paint a picture this way. And this is not making an excuse for somebody to go do something bad so they think they can be good.
I'll put the disclaimer in.
Yeah, the disclaimer, preface, but if you know good versus evil and you're trying to do the right thing, you won't do this. You're not. It's just not. It's not where you need to be. And I've met, like I said, in law enforcement, I've put people in jail, and they tell me, when I get out, I will never do this again. And I go, I appreciate where you're at, and I hope you remember it, but I'm going to be realistic with you, because it's the only way I know how to be. Don't set yourself up for failure.
Yep, recidivism is high.
What do you plan on doing when you get out? I'm going to be a barber. Man, that is a great profession. My uncle was a barber. He cut my hair all the time. But do you think being a barber, you can get, like I said earlier, can you go pay cash for a brand new Dodge Challenger and get custom made chrome cut rims with your initials on them as a barber? No. But you don't have to do 10 years in prison plus. So just break the chain. That's, come on.
And you've definitely seen a lot of people break the chain and not break the chain. Here,
Go ahead. I was going to say, sadly, the success stories are few and far between. They're few and far between. And
Yeah,
I hate it. I wish it was better. But you said recidivism. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. But as I said earlier, if you try to do the right thing, you have a felony on your record, you get out. Man, pit bulls and parolees. I was staying
yeah.
with my dad. I was staying with my dad in South Carolina when he was really sick. For whatever reason, whatever channel they had, it wasn't what I watched. I watched pit bulls and parolees all day long, and I go, oh, this is amazing. I love this. I would love to be a part of it. You're giving somebody who's getting out of prison a chance to do something good. They understand. Let me tell you something about dogs. DOG. Backwards, what is it spelled?
God.
Bam. And what does God do for you? Unconditional love, unconditional support. Not that you should chew a dog out, not that you should do anything wrong, but you can yell at them, scream at them, put them in the cage. You walk out the door and walk right back in, and they're like, how's it going, Dad? I'm going to tear up. That is a kindred spirit.
We don't deserve them.
No, absolutely not. We rescued a Great Pyrenees. It's the biggest dog I've ever had in my entire life.
Big dog.
We met the family who had the dog through church. It was the sister of the boy dog that they had, but they were in financial trouble. They had to close their farm, and they said, would you be willing to take our dog? We went up there. I watched the dog. The dog was going nuts around people. It's dew claw. For people that don't know Great Pyrenees, they have dew claws, which I say
Massive.
they don't do nothing, because there's like grow into circles and they don't grab it. On the way down, we stopped and I took it to Pet Supplies. We washed it off, and my wife was scared to death of that dog because it was so big. But the idea of getting the dog in the first place was because I was undercover in Tennessee, and she wanted to give it away. And I said, let's go over this. Let's try it. And I had to learn. I didn't train the Great Pyrenees. The Great Pyrenees trained me. I tried to crate it. Every night at 2 a.m, that dog would bust out. I'm telling you, Ryan, I put clothes hangers on that thing. I tightened it down, facets, all kinds of stuff. And at 2 in the morning upstairs out here, boom, boom, and it would pop out. And we had a motion light on the stairwell. It would come with the stairwell, and you see the light cut on, and it would come right to the first step. And look, its head's on the floor, and straight down the hallway at my old house, it's me laying in the bed. And I would sit up and look, and it would go chicka, chicka, chicka back downstairs. And then I learned, I'm like, I got to learn this animal. It's trying to not herd, it's trying to protect. It's nocturnal. And we set a bed up in our bedroom and a bed downstairs. And what that dog did without training at all is it would go and lay in one daughter's bedroom for a while. And they would get up and go to the other daughter's bedroom for a while. And they would come into our bedroom, sound like some kind of like some great grizzly bear. It comes in and goes, and it lays down and goes to sleep. And I'm like, it's trying to protect. And that dog schooled me. And that's when I learned at that very moment that dog was a kindred spirit. It is a livestock guardian dog. It has a shepherd mentality. And without any training at all, my daughters could be on one side of the yard, freshly rescued. That dog would sit and post itself and watch my daughters. And I'm watching it and I'm going, I think this dog is like watching my daughters. And I'm like, hey, girls, run to the other side of the yard. They go, I just do it. And it ran out of sight. They ran out of sight. And the dog goes, shifts and watches. And I'm like, holy crap. This dog is a bred protector. It's passive to everything it protects. But if a wolf or coyote comes up, brother, it is over.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to tell you something. When all of my dogs have passed away, even though I think we rescued this one from a bad place, it'll be easier. I have bawled. I have heaving bawled, uncontrollable crying, heaving at those dogs dying. And we now have another Pyrenees. My daughter bought it, but she stays here all the time. And it's just, there's a special place in my heart for the livestock guardian dogs.
No, I agree with you. In fact, I have a kind of a similar story. I didn't know black labs had a ridgeback. That their back actually will ridge up like a ridgeback does. I had no idea. And my grand granddad's dog. My dad was born in Ocala, Florida, so my summers were spent down there. And Mr. Davis, my granddad's friend, who he literally grew up with, who Bama, the dog, knew very, very well for a long time. Yeah, right, Bama. And all of a sudden, he started chasing me around playing. Well, I started yelling and like, ah! Bama put herself between me and him, ridged up. Now again, she knew him. Ridged up, he backed off. He backed off, went in the house and went, when did Bama become so protective? And Granny looked at him and she went, were you playing with the kids? He's like, yeah, I was chasing Ryan around. He goes, yep. Yeah, that'll happen. Don't do that unless we're out there.
Here's what's crazy. My daughter's Pyrenees, luckily, didn't have PTSD from lightning storms because our first one did. Like I remember being asleep in a deep sleep, and you know how you can dream in color. Like I'm like riding a motorcycle or something, and I'm coming down the street. It's a hot summer morning, and then it gets really hot. It's really hot, and I start flowing to the ceiling of the sky, and I'm like, I'm in the dream going, what is going on? And I'm like, it's so hot. And I woke up, and I'm laying sideways, but the Pyrenees, Pirta was her name. Her face is in my face going, because it's a freaking lightning storm, and her heat made me think, and I'm like, oh my goodness. So our new one now, my daughter's has no problem with lightning storms, but boy, man, if somebody like the UPS guy shows up, he knows our house, especially during COVID. I think we kept them in business because all I saw was deliveries every day. And this guy shows up in that brown truck pulls in, and the Pyrenees is on the fence. I mean, foaming at the mouth, and you're like, oh my gosh, man, calm down. He walks up every time. He walks up with the tree and he's going, oh. He hands him the tree and he goes, oh, thank you very much. But when he gets in the brown truck, it's like, oh, it's going nuts again. And I'm like, man, That's your buddy. Calm down. Today, it was working. It sits on the hill. I built my house on the hill. I got 3 acres, and it's on the hill, and it's looking, and it's going, hmm, hmm, hmm. And I go, it's working. A squirrel hit the tree. I'm standing out there. It goes, the squirrel's in the tree is going, hurrah, hurrah. And I go, buddy, that's our friend. What are we doing? Pet, calm down, calm down. It's like, okay, but if that squirrel comes down, you're an enemy. So yeah, I love it. Lifestyle guardian dog. It's a shepherd mentality that ties right back into law enforcement and first responders.
And
We
Christ.
we we will take a beating. We will get spit on. Absolutely, Christ. Thank you for that reference. Thank you. Um, I was an offensive lineman. I was a way better defensive lineman, and I loved being a defensive lineman way better. I love shooting the gap and tackling somebody. But what I found, not to knock any defensive lineman, don't hate me, but offensive line has a lot of plays and formations to remember, and it's a little bit harder. And as I got into law enforcement, many years, way into the FBI, it hit me. We're offensive linemen, and they're like, "What do you mean?" And I go, "Well, if the team's winning, it's because the running back, the receivers, and the quarterback are awesome. But if the team's losing, it's the offensive line's fault. You never get credit. You get blamed. It's very rare that you show up and everybody's happy to see you, but we're there." So I see these things of like anti-law enforcement, and I'm going to try to argue for the criminal who chose to do a bad thing. And you've already heard my stories earlier. I don't hate, but we're talking about people that do very bad things: rape, torture, murder, and you're trying to get them freed because it aligns with your political ideology. And in my world, I say, until it happens to you,
Yeah, for
until it's
sure.
your house, until it's your home, and then you go, oh my gosh, where are the cops? Kyle Rittenhouse, not a great story. I'm not saying I hate the kid. He did good. Do I think a kid should be down there with an AR-15 at 17 years old? No, I don't.
No.
But that was a deadly force situation. He's getting hit in the head with bricks and skateboards and things that could kill him. Not trying to take it from him at all. Not trying to argue one side versus the other. But in defending himself, he shot. And here's somebody that's protesting against law enforcement, that hates law enforcement, that wants to get rid of the government, that wants to be anarchy, that wants no rules so they can get what they want. And when his bicep got blown off, what's the first thing he said, Ryan?
Cops, cops.
Somebody call the cops.
Yeah, oh yeah. That, I will say, without getting in, Kyle Rittenhouse was very accurate. Like super accurate with how he defended himself.
I'm not trying to paint it in one way or the other
No. I
for
will
the
paint it.
listeners, but
That was very
I'm
accurate.
saying you never want it till you need it. They never want you till they need you. And I used to say this about fire until I started training with them, and now they're wearing bulletproof vests. But I'm like, what? Most times fire shows up, it's like, thank you. And I get that. Medic shows up, thank you. Do you know how many times a uniform officer shows up and it's a very happy reception?
Very few.
It's
Very few.
rare,
Very rare. Very rare. Well, I tell you,
and I
Scott,
hate it. But anyway,
here in closing for the night, I can't believe it's been 3 hours. I've never done a 3 hour show before. You're the first person. This is just flown the fuck right by for me, man. But I want to ask you an introspective question. I don't think I've ever heard you asked on your anything you've ever done before. What would a 50-year-old you tell an 18-year-old you?
ooh, damn, that's a good question, man. Thank you for asking me something I haven't been asked before.
I
That's
try.
awesome. Uh, Number one, keep following God. Trust your instincts. and you're going to have people that don't like you. And have I been brash? Yes. Have I been hard to get along with? I'm sure I have. But did I think it was coming from a good place? Yes. And am I trying to pay it forward? Yes. So keep doing you. You've been go back to high school. Like you got your counselors are like, I see you in a job where you can get even the hand reader. I went to a prom and they were like, the theme was gypsy stuff, and they're like, I see you dying at 88 on the front lines of some argument, and I'm like, okay, that sounds cool, you know. But I'm like, you got that from my personality. Just keep being you, man. Believe in yourself, follow your instincts, and do the right thing. That's all I would say. I mean, I don't have a lot of regrets in life. If I could go back, there's pivotal points in my life. If I could go back, number one, I would have started wrestling my freshman year in high school. Number two, I would have not turned down the sniper school at the FBI 8+ times. It's a 2-week school. If you get certified in it, I never had 2 weeks to give up because I was doing so much other stuff. I wish I would have done that and gotten that training to make my own ghillie suit and learn how to shoot from very, very far away and all that. That's really the two things. There's the third one, but I won't mention it on this show.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Scott, thank you, brother. This has been an incredible show. Thank you so much for spending your night with me. Everybody watching tonight, code name Pale Horse, you can get on Amazon. And he does his own audiobook, which I always feel means a lot more because you get that feeling of how you felt in the moment as you're reading that book. So thank you so much for coming on. Everybody jump over to Amazon right now, buy codename Pale Horse. And if you want it signed after you bought a copy, let me know. I'll work it out with Scott that we could give you guys an address to send the book to. Please, when you send the book, send a little bit of money for return shipping on that book as well. Or better yet, just prepay the shipping back, put it inside the box when you send it to Scott. But please go through me for that. If you buy a book tonight or buy a book in the next week or so, reach out to me. If you want to get it signed, I'm sure Scott and I could work it out to where you could send it somewhere. He had said that earlier, and we can get that signed for you. Scott, you always have a place here on this show. This was such a fascinating show for me tonight, and it was just awesome to hear your stories. And man, you've lived a hell of an amazing career in life, and my gosh, man, somebody's got to do it, and I'm glad you did. So thank you very much for what you've done and your service to this country and bringing down the people that hurt a lot of people.
Well, I'll close with this. Some of those people I brought down are damn good people.
Of
They
course.
just made some bad decisions, and some of them have reconnected with me, especially since Joe Rogan. And I will say this: it warms my freaking heart to the core to be able. I'm gonna get teary eyed to have those people reach out to me because I did really care about them, even though I was doing a job. And thank you for this opportunity. It has been one of the best, if not the best, podcast I've been on because I've been able to just relax, man. I've smoked a cigar, I drank a little bit of whiskey. Um, and if there's anything I can do for anybody out there, man, don't hesitate to reach out. My Instagram and all that other stuff is usually Scott Payne Big Country. I took on the nickname Big Country when I was a brand new agent in training in the academy. And then I went undercover in Texas. And while I was undercover in Texas, the people at the job nicknamed me Big Country. And I'm like, well, I guess it's sticking. And that's been it. And Pale Horse is already taken. So Scott Payne, Big Country, and all the other stuff, Instagram, X, whatever. If there's anything I can do for anybody, please reach out. I'm not a hater, I'm a lover. So, man, anything I can do for anybody, thank you for the opportunity. And, man, keep fighting the good fight. That's all there is to it, man.
I will say, when I reached out to you, Scott, on Instagram and told you I had a cigar show, the only word you said to me was "absolutely." Like right then and there, I was like, "Yes, this is awesome." So, Scott, from the bottom of my heart, man, thank you so much, and everybody watching at home, raise your glass and cheers to Scott. Thank you so much for all you've done.
It's been an
Cheers,
honor. It's
cheers to
still
your
an
work.
honor, and I still keep trying to spread it and do the right thing, and as well as everybody else should. And listen, your past does not define you.
No, it does not.
It does not define you. You just learn. Hopefully, you learn from your mistakes and learn not what to do bad again. And hey, keep fighting it.
Absolutely. And until we see you all again, smoke what you like, smoke as often as you